Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 661-680. Chapter 0661-Dream Ambassador Squad. One-handed delivery. Joseph took out a card and held it in his hand. He originally planned to exchange Lucy for a reward of 100 million, but unfortunately, according to Gigel's report, Lucy Hatfilia, who should have fallen into the hands of their ghosts, was cut off by Dream. However, this matter, Joseph did not say it in front of the shadow demon, and it was meaningless to say it. He. With a chuckle, the shadow demon reached out and grabbed it, penetrated the void, and took out 2 tubes of true dragon blood from the shadow world. That's what you want. Seeing this, Joseph's eyes flashed with fire. Heat, the blood of the dragon. As long as this thing is as effective as he expected, then his magic power will be upgraded to a new level. Here you are. The shadow demon didn't talk nonsense, and just threw it away. After getting 2 tubes of real dragon blood, Joseph held it in his hands and immediately felt the huge energy contained in them. It appears to be true. Joseph nodded with satisfaction, and handed over the card that was about to store 100 million. I have a piece of advice for you. The shadow demon's body gradually faded and slowly dissipated. The content of a tube of dragon blood is 100 drops, and 1 drop can make the beast mutate, greatly enhance its own constitution, and give the cheetah the power of a lion. If you don't want to damn, it's better not to drink 200 drops at the same time, otherwise boom. 15. As soon as the voice fell, the others had disappeared. Joseph's face suddenly sank. HMPH, what an arrogant guy. President. Alia appeared like a breeze. Is this thing reliable? Find someone to try first. Joseph had been prepared for a long time. The experimental subject was a human being. A black magician who was caught a few days ago was just used to test medicine. Karna Island, Temple. Ambassador. Mira looked puzzled. Let her represent the dream and visit the King of Fury Kingdom as a messenger. What does this mean? Let Uchiha Itachi walk with you. Chinyang said. However, before that, restore your strength. Give me your hand. Hearing this, Mira hesitated a little and stretched out her hand. Chinyang held her small hand generously, and at the same time sensed the physical contact and penetrated into the soul of the other party. In an instant, Mira had an illusion, as if she had been stripped clean, and the other party could see through it. She got goosebumps and blushed. Your source of magic is normal, but the magic power is weak. It's not that there is a problem with your body, but that you are rejecting magic yourself. Chinyang shook his head and said, magic is the result of the communication between the mind and the magic power. It is a wish, it is a miracle. You don't place a wish on it, nor do you expect a miracle, that's why it is like this. I. Mira opened her mouth, recalling a scene from a few years ago in her mind. HCG. It's the psychological trauma after losing my sister. Chinyang chuckled and said, it's simple, I'll turn on your second source of magic power by the way and let you recover. It may be a little painful, so be prepared. Yes. Between the words, an interference force immediately poured into Mira's body. Mira has a subtle feeling, as if her body is under the control of the other party and is developing in the direction the other party expects. A colicky pain in her abdomen, Mila endured it, and did not cry out for birth, but the intense pain still caused her to bite her lower lip tightly, hold her right hand backwards, and hold it tightly. Suddenly, a magic power burst out, and from Mira's body, the magic power spewed out rapidly. The increase of this magic power is extremely fast. In just a few seconds, it has reached the peak level she once had, but this is just the beginning. Ah! Cold sweat dripped down Mila's face. Xiaoyi opened her mouth slightly, and couldn't help groaning in pain. Chinyang was speechless for a while. This kind of cry always felt something was wrong. Okay. About half a minute, Chinyang withdrew his palm and said, I have opened your second magic source. Of course, it was forcibly opened. After that, you will be weak for a few days. This is a sequelae, and it will soon pass. Mira was already unsteady and her face was as pale as paper. Her magic power has improved, surpassing the peak level of the past, comparable to the Holy 10. Not only that, she is still in a weak state. If she recovers, I am afraid she can go further. It's amazing, just for such a short moment, it's easy to make her magic power skyrocket. Does this mean that as long as the vice president in front of him has the will, he can mass-produce powerful mages? As if seeing her thoughts, Qin Yang said, "You think too much. I don't have the power to make people stronger out of thin air. I'm just guiding you and turning your potential into strength. A stone, no matter how you carve it, at most it is also a work of art, but gold, after all, is gold." Quote. I see, Mila breathed lightly and said, I can feel the magic power increase, but magic. Your magic is, receive magic. Receiving magic is a very special kind of magic, and there are roughly two manifestations. First, through magic, summon powerful monsters and demons, and attach their power to yourself. The second is that monsters or demons have the ability to devour ordinary wizards, so that the swallowed object receives all its power and will and becomes a container for its activities in the world. Of course, once the wizard's magic power and mind are stronger, then the domination of the two will be reversed. You belong to the first type, and your magic power is very strong, and you can summon ultimate demons such as Satan. Qin Yang sat back on the throne and crossed his hands, but you are afraid that your power will be uncontrollable, which will make the devil run wild, so you lose your magic. Although I can help you with this, if you can come out on your own, would be better. Thanks, I will. For Lisana's sake, I'll remaster this magic too. Mira took a deep breath and said firmly. This is the best. Another point is that we have a member named, the Great Demon King of Fear. I just injected a bit of its power into your body, and you can use it as a catalyst to carry out an attack on him. Receive, gain his power. Pause, he smiled and said, the Demon King of Fear is very powerful. After receiving it, you will probably have a combat power close to the abyss. The star of the Great Demon King of Fear is 4 stars, and 800 cannot reach the level of the abyss, but after Mira receives it, it is equivalent to the power of the two being combined into one. The power is multiplied, and the abyss can be infinitely approached. Of course, if it is a 5-star Demon King, after Mira receives it, it is estimated that it should be able to reach the abyss level. Hearing this, Mila suddenly showed a surprised expression. Little Vivi opened her mouth, and for a while, she didn't know what to say. She thought that what the vice president just said was just a talk, but she didn't expect it to be true. At the moment, she felt it with her heart, and she really felt a strange power in her body, and that power was full of demonic aura. Well, your strength has been restored, and you can go to complete the task later. Qin Yang snapped his fingers, and Uchiha Itachi walked in immediately, followed by a girl behind him. The girl was Lucy, with her hands tied. Your temporary partner is him. By the way, Lucy is from your guild. You can take her with you. Lucy Hatfilia. Originally this little girl was useless to him, but now, in order to open the door of the solar eclipse, Lucy's power is needed. In addition to the identity of the eldest lady, Lucy is also a star spirit wizard, and a star spirit wizard is absolutely necessary to open the door of the solar eclipse. Miss Mira. Lucy saw Mila's existence. She was taken aback. You disappeared before, we are very worried. Lucy. The two girls looked at each other and looked at each other. Let's go. Uchiha Itachi glanced at the two of them and said lightly, go to the Kingdom of Fury, the capital. Chapter 0662-Little Loli of Sirius Island. Second update tilde the backstage of Philo is stuck again, and it has been unable to upload. Uchiha Itachi left with Mira and Lucy, preparing to go to the capital of Fury Kingdom. The main purpose of going here is to control the royal family and get the Eclipse Gate, and then, using Myra's image, hold a grand event in the magic world, and prepare the stage for the Eclipse Gate to absorb magic power. There is nothing missing in the plan, but it will not be able to achieve the goal for a while. Therefore, Qin Yang did not pay much attention. Speaking of which, where did this woman Arusha go? Chin Yong couldn't help slandering. I just happened to be looking for her, but she wasn't there. Sure enough, there were too few staff, and I used the Dark Council as cannon fodder and abandoned it. Shaking his head, Chin Yong closed his eyes and squinted for a nap. A few hours later, a little old man landed on the island. Makarov came to Karna Island. He knew that this was a stronghold of dreams, and he came here specially. As soon as I landed on the island, I felt a lot of powerful aura. It really is their stronghold. Makarov frowned and said in his heart, it seems that there is a 4-element enchantment. As soon as I went to the island, was it exposed? Just as he was thinking, a giant dragon flew over. That was the Iron Dragon, Metalikana. Makarov was shocked. Although he knew about the existence of Tilong, he didn't expect that he just came to the door and met him. Humans, if you don't want to die, I advise you to leave quickly. The Iron Dragon flew in the air, spitting out human words. I'm here to find President Dream. Makarov said solemnly. I came alone, and I have no hostility. I am willing to accept the shackles, and hope to meet your president. Hearing that, Tilong did not refuse, but communicated with Deathwing from a long distance through dragon magic, and finally got the approval. Your request, Vice President Eisen has already agreed. Metalikana said disdainfully. As for the shackles, that kind of thing is not needed, anyone on the island can suppress you. The main island, there are 4 giant dragons, 1 ancient giant dragon. There is also the Lord of Elements who does not know where to hide, and the Vice Chairman who sits on the top floor of the temple. With such a huge power, it is easy to slaughter the city and destroy the country. It is only one of the top 10 magic guides, and it is not worth mentioning here. Don't worry, I won't do anything. Makarov's heart was heavy and he nodded. After a while, he saw Eisen at the temple. I want to see your president. He. Lan Ran chuckled. Who do you think you are? Is Lord Chindi? You can see if you want. The original Qin Emperor had a relationship with Makarov. Why did you come? I can roughly guess Q and GT. Mira was taken away by you. Makarov sighed. It didn't matter if he didn't see Emperor Qin, and the vice chairman wanted to come the same way. Bu, we didn't take it away, but she came with her. T=iota. Qin Yang snorted softly. Now, she is a member of my weight. If you just want to talk about this, you can go. Between the words, an aura filled the hall. Boom. Makarov only felt the sky tremble, and his entire body shook. This, put it aside for now. Makarov gritted his teeth and said, some time ago, your Uchiha Itachi appeared in Magnolia, causing a commotion, and at that time, something from our guild was stolen. It was in your hands. First-generation president sealed by the magic crystal. Of course. Qin Yang raised his eyebrows. Can you please return it to me? For you, that thing is useless. Why do I have to pay back what I got with my ability? Qin Yang smiled. You don't need to say, people will not give it back to you. Don't think I don't know anything about waiting, Lumen Xingwei, or Fairy Heart, she is a superhero in her own right. Magic. Even know this. Makarov immediately felt that it was difficult to grab it, but he couldn't get it back. If he wanted it, it seemed that the other party had no intention of returning it. In exchange, the other party refused to exchange it. However, before coming, he had expected this scene. At this moment, he took a deep breath and said, it can be temporarily stored with you, but please don't use her. For this, I am willing to take you to Sirius Island. Sirius Island, the holy place of fairy tale, is also the tomb and the resting place of the first-generation president, Mebus Viviamilio. This island is very strange, with huge magical power underground, surrounded by fog, in the sea, no one knows where it is. Of course, if Qin Yang is looking for it, the big deal is a blanket search, and the vast ocean can eventually be found, and it will only take a little time. Sirius Island, yes, I promise you, I won't use her easily. Not to mention easy use, he never thought of using it at all, and the reason why he brought it out is mainly for the origin of the world. Thinking of this, he got up immediately, and in one step, he appeared in front of Makarov. Since you said you were going to take me to Sirius Island, let's do it now. Wait. Makarov was startled, and the next moment, he was grabbed by the shoulders of the opponent, and then he saw the opponent, smashed the vacuum with a punch, shattered the space, grabbed him, and rushed directly into the time-space tunnel. Hirugen, a port city in the Kingdom of Fury. At this moment, above the sky, a crack appeared, and after it shattered, two people walked out of it. This is the coast. When you go to Sirius Island, you usually set off by boat from here. Chinyong stood in the sky and said bluntly, "Now, lead the way." Makarov's face was shocked and indescribable. From Karna Island, I came here in an instant, but there are hundreds of thousands of kilometers between them. It's terrifying. This vice chairman can smash the vacuum and travel through space with ease. Ha, he sighed and said, I know, I'll lead the way. Half an hour later, the two flew from the sky and came to the top of a sea of mist. Chinyong descended immediately, and he was about to fall into the island, but was blocked by a force similar to an enchantment. Tinlong Island has spirituality, is not a member of the guild, and does not have the Weiji of the fairy tale on his body, so he can't enter. Makarov explained. Ridiculous. Chinyong dismissed it. You don't even know your own holy place. This is not spirituality, but a barrier set up by someone using the magic on the island, and it was made by an abyss-level magician. What? Makarov was stunned. This person, of course, is your first-generation president. Over 100 years ago. He. Chinyong punched out, and with a bang, the entire island of Vivi shook, and an invisible barrier suddenly shattered. Who told you that your first-generation president died? Leaving Makarov behind, Chinyong moved towards the island immediately. She's alive, in a form similar to mine. Impossible. Makarov couldn't believe it. At the same time, on the island, a tombstone radiated golden light. After a while, Guangwei projected a figure and condensed into a little girl. The little girl has long mopping hair, big golden waves, and looks extremely cute. What a strong person and, similar to me. She murmured, who is it? Chapter 0663_come back to life, little girl. Sirius Island, also known as the Fairy Island, is rumored to have once existed real fairies. Its appearance is very special. There is a huge ancient tree on the island, which is hundreds of kilometers long. The branches at the top are spread out like an umbrella. Chinyong shattered the invisible barrier outside and immediately invaded the island. The perception is released, covering the entire island in an instant, and all the creatures on the island are understood in an instant. The creatures here have a high level of intelligence, and they probably sense the existence of Chinyong, and they all fled and ran into the distance. Even some creatures can speak human words, which is very magical. It's interesting. The beasts here are generally huge and extremely intelligent, and they can even speak human words. Chinyong fell to the ground, locked in one direction, and walked away, but these creatures are all weak, just at the level of beasts. Is it because of the unique environment? The magic power on the island is very full, more than double that of the outside world, especially the earth under your feet, which contains huge magic power. This giant tree that is comparable to an island is the root of Sirius Island, and all those magic powers come from it. Just as he was talking, his footsteps suddenly stopped and he looked up. I saw a little loli floating in the air. Little Lolita is cute, with dark green eyes, a pair of small wings on her head, golden wavy curly hair that is longer than hers, wearing a loose light pink cloak, like a fairy. She floated in the air, her feet were bare, and she looked at Chinyong curiously. You broke the barrier outside. It's me. Chinyong chuckled lightly and said, I saw this for the first time. Mebus Viviamlio, I am the dreamy vice president, Aizen. Aizen. Weird name. Mebus looked inwardly, and his eyes were full of curiosity. She has been staying on Sirius Island, almost never leaving. Most of the time, she is also asleep in the tombstone. This time she felt the breath of Eisen and had to wake up. The feeling you give me is very strange. You are not human, you don't have magic power in your body, but another more domineering power. Her voice was ethereal, like a lark, with a very special tenderness. You existence, similar to me. But it seems to be more advanced than me. Quote. I am death, I used to be. Qinyang said lightly. The so-called death god is a special kind of spiritual body that uses spiritual power, and now you are a spiritual body. I am the undead. No, you are not an undead. In the realm of souls, you are still too young. Your form is similar to that of the god of death. Because you have great power during your lifetime, you can maintain a spiritual body after death. 7. Qinyang didn't bother to explain too much. Of course, your spiritual body is too low level, and sooner or later it will die out with time. Carrot. On the contrary, the lifespan of the god of death is generally very long. In the original work, Eisen failed to evolve, was arrested by the Soul Society, and the years of imprisonment after the judgment are tens of thousands. Bing. And Qinyang's phantom body blue dye, after reaching the 6-star level, surpasses the god of death, and will not weaken for tens of millions of years. Of course, this is only longevity, and it is 100,000 miles away from immortality. If nothing changes, the phantom blue dye will dissipate as time goes by. Really, you're a strange person, the first time I've ever seen one like you. Mebus was extremely curious. If it wasn't for the fact that the two of them didn't know each other, she would have been able to ask the question to the end. From what you just said, you seem to know me. I came to Sirius Island just to find you. Saying that, Qinyang stretched out his hand to grab it, and saw that the space was rippling like water waves, and then, a huge magic crystal was caught. Inside the crystal is Mebus' body. Seeing this scene, Mebus himself suddenly widened his eyes. My body, how can it be in your hands? You are the new generation president of Fairy Tale. No, you don't have Huji on you. Oh, I stole it. It turns out that you stole. Mebus suddenly opened his mouth and looked at Qinyang in disbelief. You stole it. Why did you steal my body? He. Qinyang smiled. The past presidents of Fairy Tale are all perverts. They like to admire the naked body of little Loli. In order to prevent you from being poisoned, I stole her out. I don't know if it's a pervert. If he thinks in a different position, he is the president of Fairy Tale, and he will definitely find a way to cover it with a piece of cloth. After all, it is the first generation, and it is a little rude to expose the naked body. Loli. Mebus said angrily. I'm not a child, according to my age, I'm from your grandma's generation. Just over 100 years old, what is not a child? Qinyang waved his hand and said, I'm here to revive you. Resurrection. Mebus was startled, then showed a serious expression. You stole my body and came to me again to resurrect me. What do you mean? The description is inaccurate, to bring you back to life, just by the way. Qinyang said, there are two options. First, I will suppress the curse on you so that you can return to your body, but the side effect is that you will not grow, and your body will always maintain the shape of a Lolita. Second, give up the flesh. The biggest advantage of doing this is that you can exist as a spiritual body for a long time and will not be bound by the physical body. Quote. Hearing this, Mebus looked as usual, staring at Qinyang without blinking. Before her death, she was known as the Fairy Military, and possessed amazing deduction and observation abilities. From Qinyang's brief conversation, she caught several key points. First, this person is the vice president of a guild called Dream. Second, this person is extremely powerful enough to suppress the curse of God Inksalam. Third, this person wants to resurrect her. No matter what, the ultimate goal seems to be her body. What is your purpose? After pondering for a long time, Mebus also figured out the reason for the other party to do so. What I carry on my body is the curse of immortality, so after death, for some reason, that body has passed away. For more than 100 years, it will not rot or go bad. Quote. Don't talk nonsense, I am not interested in explaining it to you one by one. Qin was too lazy to say, tell me directly, which one do you choose? Of course, it's not free, and I will collect the payment myself. He needs the super magic in this body, to be precise, the origin of the world. But it is impossible to transcribe it now. Once the magic crystal is unlocked, it will mutate immediately. Fortunately, only Mebus can be resurrected, so that the source of the world can be safely obtained. You man. Mebus said angrily, I don't want to be resurrected. Although I don't know what your purpose is, it won't let you do what you want. Also, if it's okay, you can go and don't disturb my sleep. Saying that, she turned around to return to the tombstone. That's not good. I'm here. If you don't want to, I have to forcefully resurrect you. The big deal, after you're resurrected, commit suicide. Qin reached out and grabbed it, blocking the space with interference. In an instant, Mebus was surprised to find that he was fixed. The next moment, a strange force poured into her body and transformed her. Boom! A huge spiritual pressure rises into the sky. Resurrection, Little Lowly. Chapter 0664 God-level powerhouse. Resurrection, Little Lowly. Qin grinned Isho, reached out and grabbed Mebus's spirit body. The interference force poured into the opponent's body, and with a powerful force, it forcibly changed its form into a reaper. Of course, because there is no shallow attack, this transformation will not appear the Death Tyrant outfit, but just let the opponent give birth to the power of death. After all, the interference force is not created out of nothing, but to make reality develop in the direction he envisioned. This is. Mebus widened his eyes, feeling his own condition. She could clearly feel that in addition to the magic power in her body, a new power was born. This power fluctuated with the beating of her heart, and the breathing flowed in the body, which did not conflict with the magic power. Since you don't choose, then I will make a compromise. It will not only stabilize your spiritual body, but also curse and suppress your physical body. Now, go back to your own body. Saying that, Qin grabbed Mebus' spiritual body and stuffed her into the magic crystal. It's like putting a ball of cotton into a glass. Wait! Mebus screamed, the power was running, and he was about to resist. However, whether it is magic power or the newly born spiritual power, when resisting, it is like a mud ox into the sea, and it has no effect. Realizing this, her heart suddenly froze, and then, the person has returned to the body. Get it done. Qin shook his head, and suddenly frowned, will the curse be infected? He suppressed Mebus' curse, but the moment he pressed Mebus back into his body, a strange force, similar to a law-like force, poured into his body. The curse of the god Anxalam. Interesting, mere false gods, dare to curse me. Qin thought in his heart, and immediately confronted with interference. The two forces are beyond the ordinary level, and they are also similar to the law. The interference and the curse have fallen into a stalemate. At this time, in the magic crystal, Mebus opened her eyes. After more than 100 years, she was finally truly resurrected. Ka ka ka. On the magic crystal, cracks appeared, and then with a bang, it shattered into crystal powder. Sure enough, you are also cursed. As soon as he opened his mouth, Mebustin sighed. God Anxalam, the god who controls life and death, you reversed my life and death, aroused the wrath of God, and the curse spread from me to you. Really, I don't know how to apologize to you, maybe I shouldn't have contacted you. Mebus was depressed. Qin ignored it and continued to fight against the curse. This thing is not so much a curse as it is a latent power that will only erupt under certain conditions. This curse is very interesting. It has the power to make people immortal, and at the same time it will reverse the will of the cursed. Bing! The more the cursed person respects life, the more the curse releases the energy that spreads death, plunders life, and is very willful. The curse of contradictions, this so-called God, has probably surpassed the level of the abyss, but if you want to curse me, you still owe something. Qin spread out his right palm, and the interference in his body drove the curse away. This curse is implanted in the soul, but unfortunately, in the realm of the soul, I am the master. There was a cloud of black gas in the palm of the hand, like a small pitch-black snake, constantly flowing, as if trying to escape. You. Mebus was stunned, and really felt that the curse was stripped out. Who are you? Even this curse can't help you. The most famous person who has been hit by this curse in history is Jeff. Of course the outside world does not know. But whether it was Jeff, Mebus, or some other cursed person, no one escaped the fate of the curse. This is the first time Mebus has seen that someone can suppress the curse, and someone can strip the curse. He. Qin observed the dark curse in his hands and said, the so-called gods are just stronger people. As long as the strength is reached, anyone can be called a god. The reason why this curse can't help me is very simple, that's because this so-called god is not as powerful as me. Quote. I don't say it's not as good, but the battlefield is Qin Yang's body. He has absolute home field advantage. This curse is a power beyond the abyss. That god Angsalam should have already surpassed the abyss. Qin whispered to himself. Hearing this, Mebus was completely stunned. If the cursor is the god who controls life and death, then what is this person in front of him? Self-proclaimed Grim Reaper. Is he also a god-level powerhouse? Mebus was dizzy. She had never heard of the name Aizen. She had read a lot of books and considered herself to be knowledgeable. If it had happened in history, she would have known it unless there was no record. Are you a god? In the silence, Mebus couldn't help asking curiously. God. Qin withdrew his right palm and put away a trace of the curse. This thing is very interesting. He has to study it. I can't be counted. The god is Lord Qin, a phantom god. Qin Emperor. Mebus blinked. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came. Makarov was panting heavily, and finally found Qin and followed the footsteps. He was stunned when he saw Mebus at a glance. First generation. Ah, Makarov, Mebus said happily. No, 3 generations. The first generation. Be careful, this guy next to you is very dangerous. Makarov was in a hurry. Is it very dangerous? Mebus' pair of small wings moved and smiled. It's really dangerous. He has already surpassed the abyss of magic and reached the realm of gods. He is a god-level powerhouse. However, he is very good. It is interesting. People. Having said this, she turned to look at Qin and said, although I don't know what your purpose is, thank you for resurrecting me. You, welcome. Qin Isho said, now, let's calculate the reward. Mebus was a little guilty, and always felt that the other party's eyes were malicious. Is it lolicon? You're a lolicon, don't you say you're not a child. Qin couldn't help but complain, and then said, I need your 3 super magic, but the goblin law is no longer needed, and the other 2, I need, transcription. Fairy light and fairy ball. No problem. Mebus nodded generously, come with me. The 2 walked away one after the other, leaving behind a stunned Makarov. What's the situation? Makarov was stupid, and his head was a little dizzy. Only then did he gradually react. The first generation, she is resurrected. No, that's not a ghost, that's a real resurrection. Impossible. Also, what is a god-level powerhouse? Chapter 0665-Fantastic Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts. Second update / the latest update is getting late, I'm almost desperate. As the price of resurrection, Mebus is willing to teach Qin the 3 magics of the goblin. Of course, this was just her opinion. She subconsciously felt that transcription meant that she wanted to learn the 3 major magics. However, when she showed the Bright of the Fairy and the Ball of the Fairy, Qin directly copied these 2 super magics into mysterious runes with absolute strength without saying a word. These 2 mysterious runes really contain the origin of the world. Very well, 2 more copies have been collected. Qin nodded with satisfaction. There are dozens of world origins in hand now. Huan, how many of these world origins are complete? I don't know. Fantasy Gene replied in his heart. It can only be inferred from the strength of this world, about 0.5% minus 1%. That's it. Qin was speechless. So, I have to transcribe at least 1,000 kinds of super magic. Even if I have this time, there are not so many super magic in the world for me to transcribe. Time is not a problem, he has a long life and doesn't care about this time at all. But there is not such a large number of super magic. There are thousands of magic in the world, but the number of super magic is definitely less than 1,000, and there may not be 100. Even if history goes forward and backward 400 years, super magic will not reach 1,000. To 1,000. Looks like I have to think of a way. Qin was silent for a while, relying on the origin of the world contained in super magic is far from enough. We need to find new sources. The question is Suddenly, Qin was startled and looked up at Mebus. This little loli was transcribed by him and passed out. However, from the other side, Qin felt the aura of the origin of the world. What's going on? Qin asked suspiciously. The origin of the world in her body has appeared again. After pondering for a moment, he suddenly reacted. Almost forgot, the fairy's heart, this super magic hasn't been transcribed yet. The big magic above the 3 super magics of fairy tale, the heart of the fairy, this magic, roused Qin, and there is no way to transcribe it for a while. This great magic is mutated from the curse of the god Enxalam. It should be counted as an abyss, even beyond the power of the abyss. Qin thought for a while, then shook his head. Although I can forcefully absorb it, it is meaningless to absorb such a trace of the world's origin. However, since the number of super magic is not enough, then I will create the super magic. The more powerful it is. Super magic contains more world origin. Create super magic, create very powerful magic, in order to obtain the origin of the world. This method is theoretically feasible. And what kind of magic can be compared to the elemental plane? That is to create a plane. It is inevitable to obtain a huge source of the world. This is a path. As for whether it is right or not, we will know soon. The creation of the Lord of Elements has already begun, and the answer will not be long before. Of course, super magic must continue to be absorbed. The source has to reach 100% no matter what, if not, at least 80 or 90. Thinking of this, Qin let go of the fairy's heart for the time being, and then he will transcribe it after he studies the curse thoroughly. Live well, little girl, and we shall see you again. Qin stared at Mebus, then walked away. Not long after he left, Makarov arrived. He was shocked when he saw Mebus in a coma, but he was relieved to find that the other party was only sleeping. That guy really absorbed the magic of the first generation. What did they want to do when they collect so much magic? Through the past and present, the only magic. Makarov murmured. A few days later, a carriage drove into the capital of Fury Kingdom. The name of the capital is Crocus, and it is called the capital of 100 flowers, because the city is full of different flowers. The carriage was luxurious, and behind the curtain, a man and 2 women sat. It was Uchiha Itachi, Mira, and Lucy. Starting from Karna Island, the 3 first purchased a carriage. The carriage was driven by magic, just called a carriage, and the magic was supplied by Mira. Inside the car, Uchiha Itachi explained the main purpose of this mission. The above is the outline of this mission. Hearing this, Mira said in surprise, "Great demon fighting and martial arts." It is organized in cooperation with the Kingdom of Fury, and the mage guilds from all over the continent are invited to participate and decide the strongest guild. Sounds a bit far-fetched. The Kingdom of Fury, on the continent of Ishgar, what kind of green onion? It's just a small neutral country, and you want to invite guilds from all over the continent to participate. Will people take care of you? Not only the strongest guild, but also the strongest magician, and then establish a ranking list. Uchiha Itachi said calmly. The Holy Ten was selected by the council. It's just based on past records and magic power. It's not as intuitive as actual combat. That, Lucy couldn't help but interrupt. What's your purpose for holding this? She is a prisoner, but because of Mira, she was brought by her side. In this regard, Uchiha Itachi was too lazy to explain. Let's go and see the king. He said, this time the task is completed, the vice president will send you to another world, and even send someone to help you. I see. Now that I have joined you, I will complete the task given. Mira nodded. Soon after, the Kingdom of Fury, the Palace Council Hall. Mira and Lucy met His Majesty the King. The king was a middle-aged man of 40 or 50 years old, sitting on the throne with a majestic expression on his face. Originally, with the identities of the two wizards, it was impossible to see the king, but Mira used a little magic before being summoned. And at this moment, on Mira's shoulder, stood a black crow. The crow's pupil, 3 black hook jades slowly rotate. Sorcerer Mirajan, wizard of fairy tale, I heard that your guild was disbanded. The king spoke calmly. Yes. What do you want to see me? I want to invite His Majesty the King to hold a grand event. Mira said softly according to the pre-scripted script. The event. The Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts is a continental event that invites more than 500 guilds across the continent to participate. It is a feast of magic. It is a wild dance of dragons, people and demons. What? Before the king could speak, a minister couldn't help but say, invite all the guilds of the continent to participate. Why are we holding this kind of event? Do you know how much it will cost for 5.6? After he said that, he bowed and said to the king, Your Majesty, this kind of rude request must not be accepted. I think they should be driven out. Well, you said. The king nodded noncommittally. This proposal is quite tempting, but it is too bizarre to be feasible. Thinking of this, he immediately prepared to refuse. However, at this moment, he saw the crow on Mila's shoulder. This black crow is very human, with a pair of peculiar eyes, staring at him firmly. The next moment, boom! The king's head hummed and fell into a blank space. Afterwards, his whole body shuddered, and he immediately said excitedly, Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts. Good. This proposal is really good. Minister, prepare to inform the whole country, and then let the craftsmen build the venue. We are going to hold a magic feast. Huh. All ministers fell into sluggishness. Chapter 0666_the 22nd change. Recently, a kingdom announcement shocked the whole country. The Kingdom of Fury will hold a big magic fight and will invite all the wizards' guilds across the continent to participate. A few days ago, the construction of the conference venue has been started in the royal capital Crocus. As soon as the news came out, it spread wildly. In just half a day, it swept the entire territory of Fury, and then spread abroad. At this rate, within half a month, the entire Ishgar continent will know the news. Even, this kind of news has been conveyed to the ears of the Holy Ten Council for the first time. It's just that the Holy Ten Council has just been established, and it is still busy with handovers, so there is no time to take care of this issue. Are you kidding? The king is crazy and invites mages from all over the continent to the grand party. Is there such a capital to hold it? The council will not sit idly by. If it is also authorized by the council. I heard that the council has changed for another term, and now I am still busy with my own affairs. However, wouldn't it be fun if it was really held? This is a guild across the continent, and you can experience all kinds of magic. Many powerful mages will also appear one by one. Also, I heard that Miss Mira is the image ambassador for this conference, Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts. Mira, Miracle Mira, the S-class wizard who shocked the outside world a few years ago. However, it seems that in recent years, I haven't heard of her doing it. S rank. When did you hear the news? The current Miss Mira has reached the top 10, No, even surpassed the top 10. 2 days ago, she showed her strength in the capital because she was going to build the conference venue. Need to build a site outside the city, but the selected place is blocked by a mountain. Guess what? Miss Mira used magic to raise the entire mountain to the ground in one go. This is a wizard tavern in a certain city in the Kingdom of Fury. It specializes in entertaining wizards who travel. Every time there is a disturbance in the magic world, the news of such a place is always the most informed. By the way, I heard that this time, a holy list will be listed, which will be used to rank the 10th level mages. That's right. Not only that, I heard that the king and Miss Mira jointly stated that they have a magic technique that allows people to glimpse the abyss of the Devil's Way. The person who wins the championship, or the guild, will acquire the magic of the abyss. Abyss. For hundreds of years, only Jeff. That's more than that, it's just that Jeff's notoriety is too great. Some time ago, in the bloody battle in Magnolia, the dreamy elemental life of the Dark Guild reached the abyss. I heard that their guild leader is a strong man beyond the abyss. The discussions continued, and everyone was discussing the major events that happened in the past few days. I have to say that W covers the whole continent of the great demon fighting martial arts, which is too shocking. You must know that the great demon fighting martial arts in the original book is only within the territory of the Fury Kingdom. This time Qin Yang's actions directly expanded the scale 100 times. At this moment, in the corner of the tavern, a woman with long red hair quietly listened to the conversation of these people. Great demon fighting and martial arts. Fantasy. Elemental life. Abyss magic. The woman was dressed in a black cloak, and there was a white antler wand with black spots on the table. The appearance of her face was strikingly similar to Urza. Interesting situation. Is Ishgar's magic world developing so rapidly? Even the abyss keeps appearing. She murmured softly. As a great wizard who is infinitely close to the abyss, she knows the horror of the abyss. I didn't expect that people here would casually say this word. I don't know if it's true or not. If it's true, the king holds the secret of the abyss. She couldn't help but be a little curious. Serena won't be able to find it for a while, and he didn't find out any news. It seems that we can go and meet the host for a while. Thinking of this, she put down a coin, raised her wand, and got up to leave. However, when she walked to the door, a group of burly wizards suddenly entered. The leader is a big man, 2 meters tall and muscular. This woman only reaches the other side's mouth and looks short. Oh, good-looking woman. The burly man flashed in surprise, then grinned and said, "How about a drink with us?" Saying that, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the woman's arm violently. This woman is dressed in a sexy dress, showing her lower abdomen, wearing a witch, a short skirt with slits, and her big white legs are exposed on both sides. Seeing the man's big hand attack, the corner of the woman's mouth suddenly turned up. Oops, it's a headache. I'm so busy right now. The woman let out a coquettish smile, dodged the other's big hand with a slight flash. Do you look down on me? Just have a drink. Since you want to drink, you should drink more. Woman stretched out her left hand and snapped her fingers lightly. In the future, I won't be able to drink anymore. Snapped. A crisp sound, the next moment, boom. The entire tavern immediately exploded, black smoke billowing, and flames like dragons. In the screams, the woman walked out of the flames and quickly disappeared. Karna Island. The top floor of the temple, in the empty hall. I haven't come back after so many days. Is it betrayal? On the throne, Qinyang opened his eyes. His tone was flat. Well, it's not like Urusha will not betray. Is it the Mother Ulu who betrayed? Of course, there are many possibilities, and it may be caught by the council. Let the shadow demon go. Shaking his head, Qinyang ignored it. Urusha and the two have rings on their bodies, and the shadow demon can be located. Compared to this, the momentum of the great demon fighting martial arts has already begun to spread, and soon, the whole continent will know about it, and maybe the neighboring western continent will send people to participate. After all, the temptation of the abyss is enough to make any magician curious. Qin thought about it for a while, and immediately decided, it's been a long time since I started a new phantom body. Just in time, I need a non-dream identity to stir up the situation. Thinking of this, he immediately took out 10 mysterious runes, crushed them and absorbed them. Boom! The mysterious power equivalent to a dozen or 20 magic jade erupted, pouring into the body, nourishing the body. At the same time, a mysterious voice sounded in my mind. It seems to be the sound of the avenue, the essence of the law. Xuanzang of heaven and earth, Wan Qi is the root. Cultivating hundreds of millions of kalpas and proving my supernatural powers. Boom! In an instant, golden light radiated, and Qin Yang's whole person was bathed in golden light. Chapter-661-680 Wuji. Heaven and earth Xuanzang, the root of all roots. Cultivating thousands of kalpas and proving my supernatural powers. The golden divine light is like a glorious sky, reflecting the heaven and the earth, and the entire island is under the golden light. Spiritual energy is born in the void, and the evil energy accumulated for a long time due to the ceremony of the drop of the moon, under the illumination of the golden divine light, such as evil spirits are frightened, spirits and monsters die, and in the breath, they disappear cleanly. Many creatures on the island are like Dongwei and Lingzi, and their bodies have golden light. There are also many miraculous changes in the vegetation of the mountain. On the top floor of the temple, inside the empty hall, Qin Yang was covered with golden light, and when he saw inside and outside, the sound of Taoism resounded and circulated in his mind. This is completely different from all the previous phantom bodies. Its system is even larger, and the knowledge and true meaning it receives have also fallen into the stars. Rao is Qin Yang himself, and his head feels dizzy, as if he can't stand it. This phantom is a Taoist figure. Miscellaneous thoughts were born in his heart, but they were quickly defeated by the extraordinary sound of Taoism. Lingtai is clear and bright, and holding Yuan is united. Unknowingly, he sat down with his knees crossed, his hands tied with the wrathful mudra around his waist, and he was completely immersed in the transformation of the new phantom body. After an unknown amount of time, when the golden divine light reached a certain limit, Qin Yang's appearance changed. His skin was like a newborn baby, pure white and flawless, free of dust and dirt. The whole person seems to be integrated with the heaven and the earth, but it seems that they are incompatible. A power different from the past was born in the body. Qin Yang believes that it is Qi, and aura. Qi is the commander of blood, and blood is the mother of Qi. At this moment, Qin Yang's Qi and blood were full, like a furnace, burning his body. This process continued for a long time. Qin Yang felt reborn, as light as a wild goose. If it weren't for the vague feeling that he was incompatible with this world, he would doubt that he was the heaven and the earth, and he was the star. The will. I always feel that something is wrong. It seems that something is missing. The change of this phantom body has been interrupted several times. At the same time, in his mind, the information about the new phantom body was finally clearly born. The 22nd change. Daozun Dao Wuji Daozun. Star rating. Ability 1. Innate Dao body. Daozun. Qin Yang was taken aback. It won't be a Taoist at the level of Sanqing, right? It doesn't look like it. Where did this phantom body come from? Sanqing is a saint. In thousands of worlds, they are all top-level powers, or saint realm, or other shore realm, etc. In short, they are superpowers standing at the top level of any world. With the current ability of Qin Yang, it seems that it is impossible to open this level of phantom body. Fantasy. Golden light gradually disappeared and returned to calm. Qin Yang asked in his heart, "What's the situation?" Strange. Fantasy Jean's tone was a little confused. A phantom body of this level requires at least a 7-star phantom god, or even an 8-star phantom to appear. Why is it born now? In the past, it answered questions, either, don't know, or explained how and how, rarely with such an uncertain tone. Is this a good thing? Qin Yang raised his eyebrows. It's a good thing. It's not a good thing, it's mixed. Fantasy Jean said. A phantom body of this level is born with 6 stars, or even 7 stars, but your body is only 6 stars, so it was cut abruptly and turned into 5 stars. Is there such a saying? Didn't the phantom body initially have 5 stars? That's not true. Before your main body reaches 7 stars, all phantoms can only be 5 stars. If you want to break through, you must break the star restrictions. But after 7 stars, some phantoms are born with 6 stars. I see. Qin Yang asked again, where did this phantom body come from? Then I don't know, but it's right to be strong. The complete body is stronger than your current body. Fantasy Jean paused for a while before saying, the Wuji Dao body, the Dao body is fragrant. Haven't you smelled it? Your body is emitting the aroma of Dao all the time. However, it is still very weak now. If it is in its heyday, mortals can smell it. Can prolong life for a few years. Quote. Hearing this, Qin Yang Bibi was startled, and then he realized it was true. His body at the moment is a kind of Dao body, the infinite Dao body. Infinite, the perfection of emptiness, is an ultimate concept of Dao, boundless, inexhaustible, and inexhaustible. It is a more primitive and ultimate state than Tai Chi. Dao body is complete, Dao law is endless. Probably the kind, never exhausted in strength. What a strong body. Qin Yang was stunned, as the so-called Taoist body similar to the holy body in the world one day. Yes, the holy body and the Taoist body are very similar, but there are also some differences. You can find out for yourself later. Fantasy Jean's voice was a little weak. I'm going to sleep. After saying this, it was completely dead. In this regard, Qin Yang is not surprised. This has happened before, but this time it seems to be more serious. The phantom body of Dao Zun is too advanced. The previous process of illusion has obviously been interrupted several times because this world is not good enough to carry this illusion. Qin Yang was already enlightened at this time. Like a whale, it is impossible to swim in a fish tank. However, it is only a 1-star, and the second 1-star is even rarer than a 3-star appearance. The last 1-star rating was a time-space fish, able to travel through the world constantly, thanks to that phantom body with little combat power. Don't think about it for now, you have to study it. Qin Yang closed his eyes and carefully sorted out the information about this phantom body. The knowledge brought by Dao Zun is too huge and profound, unlike the previous phantom body, which can be used immediately after being transformed. In particular, many of Dao Zun's abilities do not exist in the form of skills. If you want to use them, you must understand and master them. First of all, it is the golden light that has appeared before. This is the golden light mantra. This mantra is extremely powerful. From the knowledge brought by the Taoist, the golden light mantra is at a high level. Under the condition of blessing, all laws will not invade, and the diamond will not be damaged. It is used to fight against the enemy. You can even illuminate the small world with a single thought, and the Dharma can cover the sky. It's a terrifying phantom. 1-star has a combat power comparable to a 5-star general phantom. Qin Yang couldn't help muttering in his heart. Not to mention his practice, outside the temple, the giant dragon perched suddenly woke up. The golden light just now. Iron Dragon Metalicana murmured in shock. I fell into a strange ethereal state, and the power tainted by resurrection has been restored. It came from the direction of the temple. Tianlong Grandin also felt incredible. Just now, the golden light enveloped the whole island. In a flash, everything recovered, and my strength became stronger. The Fire Dragon King was silent for a long time before he said, maybe, another dream member has come. Arrival. 9 times out of 10, they don't belong to this world, but you rarely see all their members. The current golden light should not be created by the vice president. The nature of the power is different. It must be a member who has not seen it before. Appeared. Ignil's voice was low. Also, this time, I'm afraid it's not an ordinary member. Chapter-661-Aaron_. The later it gets, my jet lag is broken, I have to adjust it. The appearance of Daozun greatly changed Karna Island. Previously, because Leon performed the moon drop ceremony here, the island was full of evil spirits, and a shield of evil spirits was formed over the island. Once night fell, looking at the sky on the island, what you saw was the blood moon. But now, when the golden divine light shines, the evil energy melts away, and the entire island turns evil and becomes righteous, full of aura. Plants are revived, forests are soaring, full of primitive meaning. The animals on the island have obtained a lot of benefits, some have opened up their intelligence, some have evolved into monsters, and lastly, they can also make their bodies infinitely powerful. A tiger grows to be as burly as an elephant, with sharp tusks and blazing eyes. A boa constrictor swallowed a snake letter, and above the snake skin, the blood shone brightly, and the chi, blood was exuberant. All sorts of miraculous changes keep happening. In particular, the island itself seems to have grown several times in size out of thin air. It was only a small island before, but now it is a medium to large island. What a terrifying figure, just appearing, carrying the golden light, all causes this strange change. Several giant dragons perched near the temple, and they were clearly aware of the changes on the island. Only the black dragon Akunorokia was lying there like a statue. At the same time, inside the temple, Chinyang has roughly absorbed some knowledge, which is equivalent to browsing the catalog of books and knowing a summary. As for the specifics, there are many things that he cannot understand. Thinking of this, Chinyang got up and walked to a large mirror to observe his current appearance. The person reflected in the mirror was 28 or 9-year-old, not handsome, but very tough. Wearing a white robe, very loose. Aura is lingering all over the body, and there is a bit of a mortal demeanor. Xuanzang of heaven and earth, the root of all energy, cultivating hundreds of millions of kalpas and proving my supernatural powers. Chinyang whispered in his mouth, and in an instant, golden light flashed all over his body. This time, he learned to restrain himself. Instead of leaking the golden light, he wrapped it around the surface of his body. I have sorted out all the information, but currently I can only use the golden light magic mantra. Chinyang was quite helpless. He knew a lot of spells and magical powers, but he couldn't use them. To be precise, I know how to use it, but I can't use it. I probably need to practice it myself. It's like a mountain of treasures piled up there. He can't carry many treasures, he can't move them. However, the golden light divine spell is also a top-level spell. With the blessing on the body, ordinary attacks can be ignored. Moreover, this body is still a Taoist body, and its defense power is also amazing. Shaking his head, Chinyang did not continue to practice for the time being, although this phantom body is unexpected, but the combat power is strong enough to go out and stir up the situation. There are still more than 40 mysterious runes left in his hand, but this phantom body is too terrifying, and even if more than 40 are smashed, it will not rise to a 2-star level. Therefore, Chinyang is not in a hurry for the time being. Moreover, he has a vague feeling that using mysterious runes to raise the star rating may not be a good thing for this phantom body. Ku Shan. If Daozun reaches a 5-star level, if you want to break the star level restriction, I am afraid that the difficulty will be doubled. Let's take one step at a time. This phantom body is too special, there is no need to worry, and there is nothing in this world that can threaten my power. Thinking of this, his mind moved, and he suddenly differentiated into Aizen, letting Aizen guard Karna Island. Afterwards, Chinyang took a sword, blessed it with golden light, and then threw it into the sky. The next moment, he moved and flew away, stepping on the sword to fly. I saw a golden light flying out from the sky above the temple and disappeared into the sky in the blink of an eye. Looking at the scenery below, Chinyang couldn't help laughing and said, Yijian flying, blessing the sword with the golden light magic spell, driving the sword. The speed is even faster than that of the Holy Archangel. Then, he remembered an ability in his mind. Shrinking the ground into an inch, this kind of spell, Daozun can of course, but unfortunately, Qinyang can't use it, and the ability that does not exist in the form of skills needs to be cultivated by himself. The previous illusion is the same, but this time it is too much, too complicated. And the golden light magic spell can be used because, when the phantom body was activated before, this spell was directly engraved in his soul in the way of the sound of the avenue, as if he had an epiphany, and he would use it immediately. Put these aside for now, and now, go to Arusha first. Qinyang sensed the position of the ring and quickly fled away. The Kingdom of Fury, the capital. Wading Palace Marukarias, the top floor of a palace. The room is richly decorated, and it was specially used by King Fury to entertain distinguished guests, and is now inhabited by 3 Mila. At this moment, Mira was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out of the capital, where a huge construction was underway to build a huge event venue. The news has spread, will anyone really come? Mira looked back and said helplessly, maybe the mages from the Kingdom of Fury will come to participate, but other countries are so far away, it will take several months just to get here. You underestimate the attraction of the abyss, and we will naturally prepare to fight back, not afraid of people not coming. Uchiha Itachi, who turned into a black crow, said, under the capital, there is a dragon cemetery, I'm going to visit it. After speaking, he flew away from Myra's shoulder, flew out of the window, and quickly disappeared. Seeing this, Lucy finally seized the rare opportunity and couldn't help but ask, Miss Mira, why do you want to join them? They are a dream, a dark guild. Lucy, this matter is very complicated. Mila shook her head and said, don't worry, I will protect you. However, as soon as the voice fell, a mocking voice suddenly came. Oh, who are you protecting? It was a frivolous tone, a female voice. Myra's complexion changed slightly, and she turned around suddenly. She looked at the sofa in the room, and at some point, a woman had appeared. Woman has long hair, like the witch in the biography of the novel, with a magic wand leaning on the side, and herself, with Erlang's legs crossed, holding a cup of coffee, and taking a sip. Who are you? Mira was taken aback. When did this person appear? After Qinyang's strengthening, after her magic power was restored, the weak period had passed. In her normal state, she had magic power comparable to the Holy Ten. However, she could not find anyone coming. Lucy was also startled, and subconsciously approached Mira. Ishgar's coffee, is it Snow Mountain coffee? It's really good. Woman, Vivi Isho, looked sideways, are you Mila? Seeing this woman's face, Mila Vivi was startled, Elsa. No, you are not Elsa, although you look very similar. Elsa. A strange light flashed in the woman's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. My name is Irene, Irene Bersarian. I came to you at this moment, and I want to ask about the magic of the abyss. Sure enough. Mila secretly said in her heart that the feeling this person gave her was unfathomable, and she really came for the magic of the abyss. The magic of the abyss will be rewarded as a prize to the winner of the great demon fight. What if? I want to know now. Irene's tone was buoyant, and the magic power around her body appeared. Suddenly, a huge coercion enveloped the room. Thump. A second, and fell to her knees, panting frantically. Lucy. Mira was shocked, and quickly confronted with her own magic power, blocking the coercion. Huh. Irene showed a look of surprise. You are only a teenager, you have such profound magic power. Yes, I believe in the magic of the abyss. Who is your teacher? Well, forget it. After subduing you, I will ask you a question. Quote. You fell. In an instant, one after another holy light filled the room, and then quickly hit Mira like a meteor. Holy beam stream. There was no sign of using magic, and no magic circle was manifested. This magic was born just like that. Chapter 0670_Destroyer, door. Boom boom boom. There was a big explosion in the palace, the flames shot into the sky, and a figure broke through the flames and flew out. Mira Jane turned into Satan, fluttered her wings, held Lucy in one hand, and flew to the sky. "Be careful, Miss Mila, that woman looks dangerous." Lucy was panting, suppressed by the huge magic power, and she is still in a trance. Now that I was a little more awake, I took a serious look at Myra's appearance. It was very different from the usual gentle, sunny smile. At this time, Myra's face was very solemn. A pair of dark demon wings grows on its back, a tail like a snake's body behind it, and 2 arms are covered with scales. The image is like a demon. No, that is the attitude of a demon. "Miss Mira. I'm sorry, did I scare you?" Myra's dignified expression calmed down a little, and then she said, "This is my magic. Like the elfman you know, it is to accept magic. The whole body accepts Satan's soul. Satan, the top existence among demons. In this posture, Mira possesses extremely high speed, strength and magic power." "That's amazing," Lucy exclaimed. "This is not the time for small talk. Lucy, I'll let you down later, and you hide in a safe place." With that said, Myra's eyes were locked on the previous room. That is the 3rd floor of the palace, which has been blown up at this moment, burning with thick flames. Suddenly, a voice sounded overhead. "Which direction are you looking at?" "This way." Hearing this, Mila was startled, looked up, and found her target. The woman who called herself Irene, holding a wand and holding the corner of her witch hat in one hand, stayed in the air like that. When Mila was shocked. She didn't realize how the other party moved there. You know, she locked the room all the time, and it was impossible to miss it. Irene's posture was full of leeway, and said, "It's amazing to have such a level of magic power at a young age. However, resistance is meaningless, it just causes indifferent casualties." Hearing this, Mira turned around immediately, pulled Lucy, and quickly landed to the ground. "Want to run? You can't escape." Eileen chuckled lightly, tapped her wand, and suddenly it was radiant. The dazzling light formed a sphere, like a small sun, and shot out in an instant. Hot light bullets. Whoosh. The speed of the light ball was extremely fast, and the distance was suddenly shortened. The moment Mira landed on a building, it caused an explosion. Boom. Predict. WM1. In an instant, the little sun expanded dozens of times, illuminating the entire capital. Yin-ji. The extreme heat burned this building in an instant. With the explosion and impact, all people and things within a radius of 100 meters evaporated. This commotion immediately attracted countless attention. Because of the news of the great demon fighting and performing martial arts, Wengdu gathered a lot of magicians, and they all turned their attention to this side at this moment. "That's it, Mira. Who is the other person? What a strong magic power, at least a great wizard of the 10th level. It's not very good, it's a fight, this lunatic, completely disregarding the people around him." The mages avoided far away, but instead of fleeing, they hid and watched the battle. The battle of the 10th level is rare. Irene was flying in the air, looking at the explosion point, but couldn't help but raise her eyebrows, avoided. This demon of acceptance is really fast. At the moment when he was about to be hit, he accelerated once to avoid the fate of the hit. However, the explosion range of the thermal light bomb covered a radius of 100 meters, and Mira was still affected. I saw a flash of figures, and Mira had already flown into the air again. She donated blood hanging from the corners of her mouth, apparently not unscathed. To protect that little girl. Aaron Vivi Isho, playing with me while injured, you really looked down on me. I didn't look down on you. Mira gritted her teeth and said, it will bring harm to innocent people. If you want to know the magic of the abyss, just follow me. As she said that, she fanned her wings and hurried away from the capital. An interesting kindness. Irene's body is light, and she easily catches up with Myra's speed with one movement. If it weren't for the magic of the abyss, she could kill the opponent in an instant. Although Saint Ten is strong, it is still far from her level. At the same time, somewhere in the continent of Ishgar, a dark castle stands in the forest. In the sky above the mountains and forests, Chinyang Yujian flew, his eyes locked on the castle full of dark Gothic atmosphere. The location of the ring is here. It seems that it was not a betrayal, but was caught. Chinyang whispered to himself, without concealing his breath, he let it out so that others could perceive. Thinking about it is also, with the power shown in the dream, give Eurydia 10 courage, and dare not betray. However, being caught does not seem to be very accurate. If caught, just call the shadow demon directly. Thinking of this, Chinyang lowered his height slightly and approached the castle. When he entered the kilometer range, inside the castle, in a room full of bookshelves, a handsome man suddenly closed the book in his hand. Strange breath, he raised his head, his eyes seemed to penetrate through many barriers, and saw Chinyang who was constantly approaching. It's really arrogant without concealing it at all, and he came to the door openly. Thinking of this, he immediately said, "Go and inform Jugeman and let them go to greet the VIP." "Yes, Lord Hades." Over the castle, Chinyang came, and suddenly, several figures appeared on a platform like lightning. "Stop whoever comes." The person who spoke was a woman, but not a human, but a demon in human form. The two devil horns, like ears, opened to the left and right, and there was a gem the size of a palm on the forehead. While speaking aloud, he looked at Chinyang. "This is the gate of the underworld. If you trespass here, do you want to go to hell?" "It really is the gate of the underworld." Chinyang's expression was as usual, he stood calmly on top of Phaegian, ignoring the warning of the other party, and came directly to the platform. And the flying sword under his feet is like a flying feather, 0.5 floating around his body. Gate of opening, put it straight to the point. Our two members were caught by you. It turned out to be a dream. The woman who spoke before smiled, as if she only realized now, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'm one of the 9 ghost gates, Xinglishan and Kuanghua. Which master of dreams are you? He. Chinyang smiled silently, the deity is boundless. Not the master. Kuanghua's eyes narrowed. Of course, they have studied dream, and they know the general composition of dream's members. The great master is an existence that must be paid attention to. I thought it would be a certain one, but I didn't expect it to be. Stop talking nonsense, this deity has limited patience, and now let Hades send them out safely. Chinyang snorted coldly, too lazy to talk nonsense with them. Otherwise, this deity doesn't mind destroying your door. Chapter 0670_twin seconds. The first update till the fairy tale is coming to an end, the next world, maybe write a novel world. Otherwise, this deity doesn't mind destroying your whole family. Chinyang came to ask for trouble, so he wouldn't talk nonsense with them, and he had to do it directly. Killing a few Jugemen, the so-called Pluto, would have no room to show off. Originally, he only needed to use the shadow demon, and he could easily teleport to Arusha, and basically he could easily take it away no matter where he was. Name of, the most vicious and evil in history, promoted by Dream. What an arrogant guy, he's going to kill us even if he opens his mouth. This guy is not the master, don't be afraid at all. No, don't be impulsive, you didn't see their vice chairman. If that person is provoked, things won't end well. Beside Kuanghua, the other members of the 9 Ghosts sect were talking in low voices. After Sarah came back, he described what he had seen and heard, and mentioned the vice president many times. He shattered the vacuum with one punch and seriously injured the black dragon, which made Jugeman very guilty. Therefore, after they invited Arusha away, they did not dare to do anything. Now 15 people are here, but it seems to be a little different than expected. Everyone looked at Kuanghua, only to hear Kuanghua suppress their anger, saying, Dao Wuji, your 2 members are indeed at the gate of our underworld. But we didn't imprison them, let alone do anything to them, they are our distinguished guests. Quote. The deity has run out of patience. Chinyang snorted coldly, and his mind moved immediately, and the flying sword flying all over his body turned into a beam of golden light and suddenly slashed out. Phaegian is just an ordinary fine steel sword, but under the blessing of the golden light magic, it is a treasured soldier, cutting iron like mud. Whoosh! The brilliance flashed, and the sword was approaching. Kwangwa didn't expect that the other party was alone with the 9 of them, and they all dared to start a war if they disagreed. This stun time was extremely short, probably less than a third of a second, but it was enough time for the flying sword to slash her head. You must know that when the flying sword is carrying Qin Yang, the speed is far faster than that of the Holy Archangel. At this moment, it is only used as a weapon, and it is faster than the speed that can be captured by the naked eye. Puff! An arm flew down. Xinglishan Kuanghua's complexion turned pale, and at the critical moment, he burst out with astonishing reflexes, and even avoided the fate of falling to the ground. However, no matter how fast she was, the flaws were exposed, and she still paid the price of a right arm. Immediately, the blood donation spurted wildly, and the blood waved, dyeing another Jugemin member blood red. Ah! It took a full second for Kwangwa to realize the severe pain, and immediately her complexion twisted and she roared through gritted teeth, "You damn bastard!" Boom! An evil aura suddenly burst out. The next moment, Kwangwa stretched out his left hand and shot it from the air. "Do it!" she yelled at the others, sense deprivation. Thin. A strange wave spread to Qin Yang. "It's not magic, is it conjuration?" Qin Yang remained calm, silently reciting the divine incantation, and in an instant, golden light protected his body, preventing all methods from invading. The whole person is wrapped under the golden divine light. Kwangwa casts a curse, and the moment it touches the golden light, it is dissolved. At this moment, a male demon with cyan skin and 4 arms suddenly approached. "I am Doji Chethel, your head, I took it." The man laughed wildly, his arm turned into a sharp blade, and he slashed the head with a sword. At the moment of the war, he went around behind Qin Yang, and at this moment, he made a sneak attack without showing any mercy. However, his laughter came to an end, followed by a shocked expression. The right arm, which turned into a sharp blade, slashed at the back of Qin Yang's head, as if slashing on the hardest thing in the world. The golden light of the body protector easily defended his attack. "What is this?" he blurted out. "I'm a mantra that can shred everything." "Everything." Qin Yang and Vivi turned sideways and glanced at each other. The frog at the bottom of the well dares to bark. During the speech, he flicked his right hand, and the middle finger was released, and a golden light suddenly flew out. Puff! This golden light was like a missile, piercing through the demon's chest in an instant, and knocking him away 110 meters in one breath. Seeing this scene, the rest of the 9 ghost gates were all shocked. Instant kill. What was that just now? A golden light. Is this guy a master? How can he be so strong? It's just a flick of a finger. With Ethel's physical defense, he couldn't resist. Several people took a deep breath, and the thoughts that they had just prepared to do were instantly extinguished. Doji cut among them. Although he is the last to exist, he is definitely not weak. He was instantly killed by the other party when he met each other. Moreover, Doji Cut's spell is sharp enough to smash everything, and as a result, even the golden light of the opponent's body protection cannot be broken. So, don't be impulsive, Sarah sighed. You haven't seen Magnolia's hell with your own eyes, and you don't understand their horror at all. However, saying this at this time makes no sense at all. Kwangwa was already in a state of rage, but she didn't care about Doji's death. She moved and rushed up. Failing to use the long-range spell, she immediately chose to get close. His left hand stuck out, turned into a claws, and grabbed Qin Yang violently, as if to crush the opponent's heart in one breath. Boom! With a muffled sound, the claws hit the golden light, failing to break through the defense. What a hard tortoise shell, damn it! Her face sank, she missed a hit, and immediately chose to retreat. Don't worry, the deity said to destroy all of you, you should do it yourself. Qin Yang calmly locked on the remaining 8 people, and with a flick of his finger, he immediately controlled the flying sword to slash away. The golden flying sword seemed to flow 160 light, and it flew by in an instant, catching up with Kuanghua. So fast. When she realized that she was locked in Kuanghua's field of vision, Feijian was already close to her, and when she gritted her teeth, she immediately roared, "Devilization!" Boom! Her breath soared, as if she was about to turn back into the devil's body. However, her speed was far from fast enough, and she was stunned the moment she started. She found that the field of vision was spinning, the sky was down, the ground was up, and she even saw her own body, a body without a head. Why is it so strong? Before he lost consciousness, there was only one thought left in Kuanghua's mind. Boom! The head fell, the headless body fell, and another 9 ghosts gate was killed. Unlike the previous Dojich, Kuanghua was one of the best in the 9 ghost sect. He died in front of his eyes at this moment, making the rest of the crowd tremble. Everything happened too fast. Within 3 or 5 seconds before and after, the 2 9 ghost sects were already dead. Hey, this person is too strong. The 9 of us may not be able to fight together. A man like a jackal said repressedly. The next moment, golden light flashed, and Feijian returned to Qin Yang's body. Who are you? Who are you? Liang Tianyu Sarah said in shock. A person as strong as you is not an unknown person in dream. Is he a master? Big master. Qin Yang blessed Feijian with the golden light magic spell again, and then Feijian shot out again. It's useless to talk too much. Who will die next? Chapter 0671, Do What You Say, Dao Wuji. Qin Yang killed the 2 Jugemin members neatly in seconds, and immediately shocked the rest of them. Although they are not afraid of death, they are demons themselves. Even if they die, they can be reborn in a petri dish, but they are not afraid of death, nor do they want to be cut into pieces by the opponent's flying sword. Wait. Sarah bit her head and said that this beautiful-looking woman was also frightened at the moment. We have no ill intentions, and we have no intention of being your enemy. Afraid that Qin Yang would do it again, she quickly briefly described what happened. On the day of the Magnolia battle, after Vice President Dream retreated with a few giant dragons, Yulusha and Ulu also evacuated. But unexpectedly, they met Sarah outside the city. After revealing their identities, Sarah invited the 2 to the Gate of Hades. Of course, this process is definitely disgraceful. The Ulu mother and daughter, who spent a lot of magic power in the war, are not Sarah's opponents, and quickly agreed. Of course, the main reason for agreeing was because Sarah told them that she hoped to have some kind of cooperation with Dream. After that, Sarah went to rob the prison car and rescued Yin, and then the 4 came to the Gate of Hades. During this time, we have treated 2 distinguished guests well, without any offense. Sarah said hurriedly, this is a misunderstanding. I offended you just now. Kuanghua made his own decision. In fact, Hades also asked us to welcome you. After a long time, is it cooperation? Of course Qin Yang didn't believe it. To cooperate, it was etiquette to send someone to negotiate, and to take away Ulu's mother and daughter privately was to provoke a dream. To do so at this level must have a profound purpose. Qin Yang thought about it for a while, and suddenly realized it. The president of the Gate of Hades is End, the strongest demon in the Book of Jerf. The purpose of this group of people is to want me to help them revive End, right? Qin Yang's face was as usual, but he knew the other party's purpose in his heart. So, their purpose is actually Ulu, and Arusha is just incidental. Ulu died 10 years ago and is now resurrected. This group of people may want to see what kind of resurrection method it is. Thinking of this, Qin Yang immediately said, you are not qualified to talk to this deity and let your Hades get out. Just as he was talking, a figure walked over. It was a handsome man with a gentleman's smile. It's really rude, the subordinates are so rude. I'm the Pluto, Mardo Gil. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Yang's fingers hidden under the robe gently waved. In an instant, the golden light on the flying sword made a big splash, and then with a swoosh, it shot towards Hades. This sudden attack took everyone by surprise. Everyone thought that this guy wanted to talk, but he didn't expect to shoot again. Even Hades himself couldn't help but change his face. The underworld tree. N7, he shouted in his heart, and suddenly a giant tree rose wildly, blocking the flying sword and resisting the attack. He has been watching the battle secretly before, and he is very clear about the power of this flying sword, and he does not dare to take it hard. I saw that the giant tree stretched out countless branches to wrap around and obstruct the piercing of the flying sword. But in just an instant, the flying sword pierced through hundreds of obstacles, like chopping vegetables and melons, and stabbed Pluto in an instant. Puff! Pluto flew upside down and broke a wall. Huh! Qin raised his eyebrows and said a little surprised, using the repeated blocking of the branches to make my flying sword deviate from a certain trajectory, you are very clever. Under the collapsed wall, Pluto's face was ugly. The flying sword pierced into his ribs, pierced through his right shoulder, and donated blood. Aren't you afraid that I will do something to those two women? Hades said angrily, his tone gloomy. Then you should do it. Qin looked indifferent, it's just two peripheral members. If you kill them, we have some means of resurrecting them. Even if the soul is wiped out, it's a big deal to ask Lord Qin Emperor to take action, travel through the long river of time and space, go back to the past, and bring them back to life. Of course, they were just two ordinary members, and Qin was not interested in going around such a big circle to resurrect. Provocation of dreams like me, your end has been decided. Qin Vivi stretched out his hand, hooked his fingers, pierced Pluto's flying sword, and flew back immediately. This deity said that he will destroy all of you, so he will naturally do what he says. In a mere gate of the underworld, it dares to pull out the whiskers from the tiger's head, it is simply impatient to live. At this moment, the people at the gate of Hades realized that things were in trouble. This guy doesn't care about the lives of those two women at all. The reason why he came here is to slaughter. You devil, someone couldn't help shouting, covering up the fear in their hearts. The devil calls the deity devil, he a bit interesting. As soon as Qin waved his hand, Phaegian held Phaegian in his hand, then pointed at everyone, and said coldly, stop talking nonsense, let's go together. Crocus, the capital city, outskirts. The earth cracked and a forest turned to ashes. In the center of the cobweb-like shattered earth, Mira was covered in trauma, half kneeling on the ground. There was a lot of blood on her forehead, and her magic power slipped from the peak. In just a few minutes, she realized that the other party was a wizard who surpassed the Holy Ten, not an abyss, but a pseudo-abyss. Haha, Mira breathed slightly. Vivi raised her head and looked at the woman flying down. Compared with her, Irene's posture is still the same as before, floating in the air full of room. It's almost time to admit defeat. Come on, what is the so-called magic of the abyss? She held a wand and looked down calmly. That's the prize. Mira gritted her teeth, she didn't know at all, only Uchiha Itachi knew the specific situation. I'm far from her opponent. If it wasn't for asking about magic and fighting her head-on, I wouldn't be able to hold on for a minute. Mira calmed down. On the contrary. She had seen a more terrifying existence than Irene. Of course, she would not panic and despair. The only chance of winning is that it's just a side effect, but, as of now, I can only use him. Thinking of this, Mira stood up laboriously, looked up at Irene, and said, I don't know who you are, but if you want the magic of the abyss, you must participate in the great demon fight. The winner will naturally get a prize. I'll ask you again, what is the magic of the abyss? I don't want to listen to your nonsense. I see. As expected, the conversation is useless. Mira took a deep breath, mobilized her own magic power, and merged with the power in her body, except the whole body, the dread Demon King. Boom! An extremely evil and gloomy aura erupted instantly. Myra's body exploded at once, turning into a pervasive black mist. Huh! Irene was taken aback, her eyes narrowed slightly. How is that possible? Her magic power began to surge in an instant, and she is already close to me. The previous Mira was one level behind her, more than double the gap, but now, the magic power of the two is infinitely close. Approaching the abyss. I saw the endless black fog, forming a spiral, condensing a new posture. Aaron's heart sank. At the same time, inside the capital. In an alley, a crow flew over and landed in front of Lucy, quickly turning into the appearance of Uchiha Itachi. "Are you hurt?" Hearing this, the groggy Lucy woke up immediately, and she hurriedly said, hurry up and save Mila, she is in danger." "I know." Uchiha Itachi said calmly, "I did it on purpose. Otherwise, do you think that woman can be embedded in the room without knowing it?" What? Lucy was instantly stunned. Chapter-662-touch it and you won't lose a piece of meat. In order to further improve the reading quality, the author is revising this chapter. After reading this chapter in 4 hours, please read the next chapter. And amp, BP, and amp, BP, and amp, BP, and amp, BP. And amp, BP, and amp, BP, and amp, BP. Chapter-673-Dragon Queen. Hand of the Demon King. The magic power of darkness gathered together, making the day like night, and the gloomy aura enveloped the entire capital for hundreds of miles. Suddenly, a big dark hand broke through the wall of the sky, and slapped Irene in midair with the momentum of suppressing the ancients. What is this? It's magic, and it doesn't feel like pure magic. Looking at this scene, Irene couldn't help being a little surprised, but seeing the big hand patted down, she wanted to press it, and she immediately greeted it with a palm in the air. Heat additional air. The huge magic power was condensed into a palm in an instant, composed of air and magic power, and it contained a huge amount of heat, like a volcano. Boom! 2 big hands, one black and one white, collided in the sky, and a huge roar erupted in an instant. Under a confrontation, the impact that swept away instantly radiated outward, like a small nuclear explosion, and the rolled-up hurricane destroyed everything around it. Forest trees were uprooted, boulders and mountains were blown and smashed, and the earth was rolled up in all directions under the impact. The not-too-distant royal capital was also affected. One side of the city wall collapsed, and many residential buildings were destroyed. Inside the city, countless people looked at the scene in the distance, and they were all terrified. What a huge amount of magic, even Miss Mira, who is the other one? It's several kilometers away, it can even reach here. It's terrible. If this fights in the city, the entire capital will be razed to the ground. The people began to flee the area, but the mages converged in this direction. The king's army was gathering, and the king himself was hiding in the palace, shivering. It turned out to be additional magic. Mira murmured softly. What's wrong with the additional magic? A male voice came out of her mouth again. Don't talk suddenly, it's scary. And she still used her mouth. Mila was very helpless. Pause, she explained. Magicians who are good at additional magic are generally called additional warlocks. What this person is good at should be high-level additional magic. Common additional magic is to strengthen objects, such as additional strength, speed, etc. Quote. The blow just now added heat to the air, and the explosive power generated shattered her demon lord's hand. Therefore, although it seems that the two are evenly matched, in fact, Aaron's consumption is much smaller. If the stalemate continues, it must be me exhausted first. Mira secretly said. That's it. Her mouth moved again without authorization. With that trick, it's enough to weaken her. Hearing this, Mira felt helpless, and immediately put her palms together, and the magic power gathered together to form a balance between her palms. Scales of fear. The small scale suddenly swelled up and became enormous in the blink of an eye. Irene immediately noticed the abnormality, and her magic power seemed to be forcibly weakened by 10%. IQ. Wonderful ability, I saw it for the first time. Shivivi Isho said, could it be the exact opposite of me? Curse to Warlock. This kind of magic that weakens the enemy is very similar to a curse. 7W. Just thinking about it, Mira has already started. Her wings trembled, approaching quickly, and then she punched with great momentum. Under the attitude of accepting the fear of the great devil, she also has the body of the devil. The biggest feature of the body of the devil is the vitality beyond the limit, and it is easy to be reborn from a drop of blood. The punch at this moment was full of blood, and under the lock of breath, Irene felt that it was difficult to dodge. Add magic hardness. Irene was not in a hurry, and the wand in her hand slapped away. On the wand, magic power is added, making it have absolute hardness. Boom. Myra's punch hit the wand, but failed to break it. So it is. Irene spoke clearly, this stance is much stronger than the previous one. In terms of fighting technique, it looks like a melee type. But lava blasting. Boom. Under the ground, a violent vibration suddenly occurred, and then a pillar of lava that shot up to the sky devoured Mira in front of him in an instant. It's useless. Mira is not afraid of lava, has the body of a devil, even if immersed in lava, there is no problem. Her wings fanned, directly breaking the lava pillar, and grabbed Irene's heart with one claw. Erin Exiame frowned, and immediately blocked her wand in front of her. Myra's claws slapped on the wand, and all of a sudden, Irene was knocked into the air and knocked down into the sky. The next moment, Mila stretched out her left hand in the air, and a ball of darkness gathered in her palm. Dark spark. Whoosh whoosh. One after another, the dark balls quickly hit Irene, with bursts of light bullets, mercilessly chasing after the victory. Boom boom boom. The ground kept blasting, and Irene chuckled lightly, grabbed her wand, flying against the ground like a bird, dodging all kinds of attacks. It's amazing to be able to do this at such a young age. While dodging the attack, Irene spoke with a lot of leeway. I changed my mind. Since you are going to hold a convention and set up prizes, then I will follow your rules. My name is Irene Berselian, okay. Remember it. As soon as the voice fell, her figure flew away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Teleport. Mira was stunned, can you even know this kind of magic? That's not teleportation, there is no obvious spatial fluctuation, it's probably a displacement conversion magic. It's like the water cup on the table and the teapot on the stool have undergone a displacement exchange. Unfortunately, she was allowed to escape. Her identity was not asked. Mira said regretfully. This woman is amazing. She is the founder of Dragon Slayer magic. 400 years ago, Her Majesty the Queen of Dragonov Kingdom. 400 years ago. Mira was shocked. She looked like she was in her 20s, but she was an old witch in her 400s. No wonder it's so strong. Old witch. The great demon lord of fear, haha Isho said, it's really an old witch. About 30 kilometers away from the capital, on a driveway, white light flashed, and Irene appeared out of thin air. I was careless. I didn't expect that kind of power. It would take a lot of effort to subdue that little girl. Unfortunately, it was too late. Erin shook her head helplessly. She noticed a terrifying aura coming from the underground of the capital. It was a giant dragon, and it was not an ordinary giant dragon, but an extremely powerful giant dragon. To be cautious, she did not continue to entangle with Mira, but chose to leave. It seems that if you want the magic of the abyss, you can only participate in the great demon fight. She chuckled and said, is it the Dragon King Festival? It's really hard to remember. As she was talking, her expression suddenly changed. On the road ahead, a wisp of black smoke gathered, turning into a dark figure. Don't be nervous, I'm not here to catch you. Shadow Demon Road. Irene Berserian, West 3.9 Continent, Alvarez Empire, one of the 12 shields of the Protector, the mother of the Dragon Slayer, the Holy Dragon Slayer. After Kunorokia, the second sorcerer who can freely transform into a dragon. Who are you? Erin's face sank. Don't be nervous. I have malicious words. Do you think you were able to escape from the capital just now? Shadow Demon said indifferently, I am a dream messenger. The Vice President appreciates your strength and invites you to join the giant dragon army. Without waiting for the other party's answer, he said, you join the giant dragon army, and I can solve your physical sequelae. Now, have you lost your sense of taste and can't sleep, because of the sequelae of dragon transformation? You are actually dragon, it can only maintain human form. But I can make you truly return to human form. Quote. What did you say? Irene was taken aback and couldn't believe it. Besides that, about your daughter Urza Shuka, no, Urza Bersarian. As soon as these words came out, Erin suddenly changed color. Chapter 0674, Terrible, Side Effects. Second shift ~IO 4 shifts, I remember it, not the fifth shift. The main reason is that Phyllu exploded a few days ago, which caused my work and rest to be chaotic. The updates these days are all after the early morning. Close black lens bracket. Besides that, about your daughter Urza Bersarian. Hearing this suddenly, Irene's expression was a bit unnatural, and there were a few fluctuations in those sharp eyes. Urza, I haven't heard this name for a long time. What are you talking about? Erin tightened her wand. Yingyao was noncommittal about this woman's act of being stupid, but continued, she is living well, you don't want to be reunited with your daughter. She has inherited your, strong and brave, when you were young, and has grown into an excellent woman. Urza was captured by the Black Magic Order when she was very young and became a slave of the Tower of Paradise. Later, she finally escaped and joined Fairy Tail. Because of the influence of the environment, her persevering character was shaped, and she was called the Queen of Fairies. So, before being captured by the Black Magic Order, Urza lived in a village called Rosemary. It was Irene who abandoned her own daughter there. This woman was pregnant before the dragon transformation. After the dragon transformation, her body turned into a giant dragon, which gave birth to Elsa in her body for nearly 400 years. It was not until 16 that she was met by Jeff and recovered. Luca gave birth. Soon after giving birth, Erin abandoned Urza in Rosemary Village. Hearing Yingyao tell the story of the past little by little, Irene's face became more and more ugly. It was as if the scar had been exposed, which made her heart tremble. Nothing to suck, everyone has an unknown past. Shadow Demon said calmly, now, I can give you a chance. Not only will you be able to return to human form, but from now on, you will truly master the power of dragon transformation. You can also reunite with your daughter. Hearing this, Irene stared at the Shadow Demon, gritted her teeth and said, you dream, who are you? Even this kind of thing is known, it is no longer capable of being described. If you have to describe it, you probably know the past and present. Omniscient and omnipotent. How is it? You don't have to answer in a hurry, you can think about it. The Shadow Demon shook his head and said, if you agree, then come to participate in the great demon fight and perform martial arts. Remember, tell the rest of the 12 shields about this magical event. If you can get Jerf to participate, even if you have done a great job. We don't know where Jeff is. Then it's your business. But even if you don't look for it, Jeff will appear at that time. The big devil fighting and martial arts will soon attract countless attention. Even in the deep mountains and forests, Jeff can know a little bit of news. Thinking of this, the Shadow Demon immediately stretched out his hand, broke open the void, and took out a tube of true dragon blood from the shadow world. He threw it to Irene, and then said, this is the adjusted dragon blood, you can drink it, you can restore your sense of taste, you can also become a human again, and then you can enjoy high-quality sleep. Then, goodbye, dragon race. Queen. In the low voice of laughter, the Shadow Demon's body slammed into a cloud of black smoke, and the wisps drifted away. Irene got real dragon blood with a complicated expression. On the one hand, no one had cared about her for 400 years, and suddenly someone said this to her, which made her feel very strange and subtle. On the other hand, in front of this dream, she seems to have no secrets at all, she is naked and can be seen through at a glance. Mysterious organization. She looked at the real dragon's blood in her hands and fell into deep thought. According to the information I have inquired about during this time, Dream is a dark guild that suddenly rose a few months ago. It has a mysterious origin and strong members. Great demon fighting and martial arts, are they acting as the mastermind behind the scenes? For what purpose? Irene couldn't help but think deeply, but she couldn't figure it out for a while. The magic power of the abyss that I sensed last time should be the magical life they created. With their power, it is indeed possible to use the magic of the abyss. Whether it's for what he said or for that magic, great demon fight, you have to participate in the martial arts. Nomination certificate, that Ying Yao had to submit before she left, this must be seriously considered. Interesting, I'd like to see, what do you want to do? Irene Isho collected the real dragon's blood. I'm afraid it will take some time before the great demon fight begins. Before that, I'll study it first. What exactly is it that he gave me? Can it really heal me? The Kingdom of Fury, the capital. With Aaron's withdrawal, the battle came to an end. The outside world did not know the specific result of the battle, but Miss Mira returned to the palace unharmed, which made other mages subconsciously think that the intruder had been resolved. After this battle, many wizards with other thoughts also suppressed their inner thoughts. It seems unrealistic to want to snatch the magic of the abyss. Myra's strength is beyond expectations, and I am afraid that ordinary Saint Ten will not be an opponent. Therefore, if you want to get that magic, you can only participate in the great demon fight and perform martial arts. Royal Palace. Mira got in touch with the magic and returned to the palace. The king greeted him and said cautiously, Mira, the great wizard, who is it just now? The intruder has been repelled. Don't worry, your majesty, please continue to build the venue. Hearing the words, the king immediately breathed a sigh of relief, patted Shang's mouth and assured, no problem, please rest assured Miss Mira, mobilize the army and the knights, and the construction will be completed within a month at the earliest. That's fine. Mira Vivi Isho, like sunshine, is like a spring breeze. Because the original residence was bombed, the king arranged a new residence. After Mira answered the room, she did not see Lucy. Just as I was about to look for it, a crow flew out the window. Mr. Uchiha. Just call me Weasel. The crow stopped on her head and complimented without emotion. You did a good job this time. How does it feel to regain your strength? I just want to save Lisana, Mira recalled, probably thinking of 980 Feet's younger sister when she was a child. By the way, Mr. Itachi, didn't Lucy see it? She's in the dragon's graveyard. I'll ask a giant dragon to train her, and she'll be back in a few days. Uchiha Itachi's eyes are distant, and the crow's three-hooked jade eyes seem to see everything. Now everything is ready, only the east wind. The council is about to take action. These days, you are sitting in the palace. Saying that, he flapped his wings and flew out. Any action? Mira murmured suspiciously. Hey, of course to the sniper council. Suddenly, the voice of the great demon king of fear sounded. Ah, Mira was startled. You me. As she said that, her hand moved without authorization, rubbing her Shangwan. Why didn't you disappear? Mira asked innocently. I'm afraid you'll be lonely, so I'll chat with you on purpose. Please disappear, and don't control my hand anymore. Mira wanted to cry without tears. The side effects were terrible. Gate of Hades. Qinyang stepped on the flying sword, and his body was protected by golden light, floating in the air, looking down at the people below him indifferently. Jugimin and Hades were all injured, and the worst ones even had their hands and feet broken. What the hell do you want? Pluto's face was stern. Are you all demons? Qinyang spoke lightly and said, my organization has recently come to a young girl with potential, which is worth training. She needs you to accept magic. Chapter 0675 Council of the Holy Ten. Speak well if you have something to say. Facing Qin Yang's aggressiveness, Pluto Mardo suppressed his inner anger and tried his best to look like a negotiation. What else do you want to say? Qin Yang remained calm, stepped on the flying sword, and stood upright. Before Yuji and Fei, he shot and killed 2 people again and again, and severely injured several people. His golden light magic spell was also consumed a lot. He just recovered, and he was willing to delay time with the other party. It's my fault that I took your 2 members away without authorization, but it's not to the point of endless death, right? Hades touched his chest. The scar pierced by the flying sword was slowly recovering. This is not the place to talk. Please, I will ask my subordinates to bring the Ulu mother and daughter to you. Saying that, he immediately gave Jugimin a wink. The 2 sides temporarily stopped the war, and Qin Yang entered the castle with the same group. A moment later, in a luxuriously decorated room, Qin Yang took his seat generously. On both sides, the 9 ghost gates stood separately, and Hades sat directly opposite, looking at each other without blinking. The short fight just now gave him a rough estimate of the person in front of him. This guy called Dao Wuji is very strong. If they fight, even if this side can win, most of the 9 ghost sect will die. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The key point is that it becomes a hostile relationship with the dream, and then it will be troublesome. Not to mention the other party's master and vice president, even the element life, is a very troublesome existence. You can't be an enemy, you can only find a way to diffuse the other party's killing intent. Pluto thought to himself. However, this guy's golden light just now, what the hell is going on? The magic can't invade. The power used by their demons is not magic, but conjuration, more like some kind of law power. But the power of the spell can't help that kind of golden light, it's a hell. Thinking of this, he put on a smile. Dao Zun. Dao Zun, I didn't know each other just now. Please forgive me for the previous offense. Pluto said, we did something wrong this time, and I am willing to compensate you for your losses. If you lose a hammer, the gate of the underworld is a loss, and a dream has a fart loss. However, this must not be said. The enemy is strong and I am weak, and Hades resolutely admits counsel. In this regard, Qin Yang was noncommittal, too lazy to pay attention. Bring Miss Ulu and Miss Yulusha first. The person beside Hades said. Soon, the Ulu mother and daughter walked in under the leadership of their subordinates. Qin Yang glanced at the 2 of them and confirmed that the other party was indeed safe and sound, and there was nothing unusual. On the other hand, Urusha had a hint of surprise in her eyes. Daozun Dao Wuji, she has never seen it, but the people at the gate of the underworld told her that someone in the dream has come to pick them up. Meet Daozun. Thinking of this, Urusha saluted. As Dao Wuji sat there, an aura naturally radiated out, giving her the illusion of facing Emperor Qin. Listen to the gate of the underworld, they have not restricted your freedom, why don't you report your whereabouts to the organization? Zun Dao, they did not restrict our freedom. Urusha knelt down on one knee, I am willing to accept the punishment. In fact, she and Ulu were injured in the Battle of Magnolia. However, such words are meaningless to say, and they did not take the initiative to report their whereabouts. It was their mistake, and it was natural to accept the punishment. At this time, Ulu said, Dao Zun, my life is saved by you, I am willing to accept any punishment, but, my daughter Urusha did not intend to not contact, I told her not to temporarily contact the guild. Therefore, I am willing to accept double the punishment, and please forgive Urusha's fault. It's not your turn to decide. Qin Yang said calmly. However, since you have a good attitude of admitting your mistakes, this deity will not embarrass you for the time being. After that, the vice president will deal with you. For the sake of the 2 people's interest, Qin Yang is not very good for the time being, and he will talk about it later. Compared to this, the matter of the gate of the underworld should be resolved first. Tell me, how to compensate? He said bluntly. Hearing this, Hades Mardo's eyes twitched, and he said solemnly, I've brought a lot of trouble to the 2 of you, and I'm willing to compensate 100 million inches. Do you think this deity is short of money? Qin waved his hand and said, I don't need your compensation, I just need you to do one thing. Please speak. Publicly announce to the outside world that you, the gate of the underworld, will participate in the Great Demon Fight after January. Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts. Mardovivi was startled. What is that? A magical feast across the continent. Qin added, the winner will receive the magic reward of the abyss. Of course, if you don't need it, you can also make a wish, and I will fulfill it for you. For example, resurrection and. Maldo's eyes flashed, and he thought of a lot in an instant. This guy's sword was raised heavily and lowered gently, but in the end, he just asked them to do such a trivial thing. No, it won't be so simple, I'm afraid it will be settled after the fall. Just that end is very important, even if he knows that there is a pit ahead, he has to jump into it. No problem, we will announce our participation in the Great Demon Fighting. Pluto said, it's just that the identity of the Dark Guild is okay. Don't worry about it, since it is a grand event in the magic world of the whole continent, as long as you are a wizard, no matter whether it is light or dark, you can participate. After speaking, Qin got up and turned to leave. That's all, you can do it yourself. Let's go. Yes, Daozun. The mother and daughter quickly followed. As soon as they left, Sarah couldn't help but say, I'm afraid he's in trouble. I don't think he'll let us go so easily. For Lord Jeff, what about getting stuck? With a wave of his hand, Maldo got up and said, Sarah, you announced to the outside world that we will be participating in the Great Demon Fight in January, and we must let everyone know. The whole continent. The new Magical Council, or the Holy Ten Council. After a period of reorganization, the Holy Ten Council finally got on the right track. At this moment, in the conference room, the 9 saints and 10 great wizards gathered together to discuss the latest major events in the magic world. Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts. I don't need to go into details, you have also got the news. The chairman was a vampire-like man with a glass of red wine in his hand. His name is Delajuros Hyperion. This kind of big event has been very noisy recently. What matters to me, Mirajan Strauss, is this little girl from your guild, Gildas. I remember that she lost her magic power, but she suddenly recovered recently, and her strength is extremely strong. I am afraid she is stronger than many people here. Hearing this, Gildas, who was sitting on the 7th seat, couldn't help but say, I don't know, Miss Mira is missing, and I only heard the news. The God Knight in the 8th seat laughed and said, there is no mastermind behind this, I don't believe it. Who cares who he is? Just send someone to ask him. Who's going? Everyone looked at each other, and finally stayed on the 4th seat. That was Makarov. Unfortunately, Makarov was absent and did not attend. Kildith, you are more familiar, you go. I don't have time. Gildas grinned, stood up suddenly, and said, this kind of meeting is really not suitable for me, I quit. No matter what the issue is in the future, treat me as an abstention. Goodbye. After he finished speaking, he left directly, walked outside and shouted again, Natsu, we have to go. This guy. Alfheim shook his head and said, I don't think it's easy. This time, it's better to send out all 8 people here. Do you have any opinions? No. Reconsideration. No problem. Soon, the discussion about the big magic fight and martial arts, the final result, the 8 saints and 10 magic guides, all agreed. The next day, a huge team left the headquarters and headed to the Kingdom of Fury. Chapter 0676-Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts, Opening 1. I heard that the Dark Guild, the Gate of Hades, is going to participate in the Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts. You even have to participate in the Dark Guild, are you kidding me? Aren't you afraid of a fight on the spot? The Magic Council has been dispatched. According to news from abroad, the members of the council are coming in the direction of the Kingdom of Fury. It is a question whether this big magic fight can be held or not. In the Kingdom of Fury, discussions are taking place in wizard taverns all over the country. First, the Gate of Hades was suddenly announced to the world, and then the movement of the Magic Council broke out. In recent days, the news about the great demon fighting martial arts has become more and more intense. Look, if the council agrees, then things get interesting. At present, many light wizards from various countries in the continent have received news, but it has not yet been announced who will participate. Once the council approves this grand event, then these unmoved mage guilds will pour into fury. Everyone is waiting for a clear affirmation, or a guarantee, to ensure that the great demon fighting and martial arts can be held, instead of waiting for people to arrive at the place, only to be told that the competition is cancelled. In the Kingdom of Fury, outside a remote town, at the end of a ramp leading to the inland, there is a guild. The Ruler of Ghosts. On the top floor of the guild, outside a secret room. 960 Gigel walked over and was about to enter the door when Aaliyah's figure appeared in front of the door. The president is still cultivating. What's the matter with you? How is the chairman? Gigel asked in a deep voice. A few days ago, the blood of the dragon was successful on the experimental body. Although the experimental body finally died because it could not bear the huge energy, it proved that the blood of the dragon was effective. After that, Joseph took the remaining dragon blood and entered the secret room to practice. After counting the time, it has been a week. Shouldn't he be dead in there? The secret room has the function of isolating magic power. If Joseph died, Aaliyah outside might not know. Just thinking, suddenly, boom. The entire guild was shocked, and then the door of the secret room was broken, and a huge, evil, sticky, deadly magical aura came from inside the secret room. The door of the secret room seems to be no longer a door, but the mouth of an abyss beast with its fangs open. What magic? Gurgel was shocked. Joseph, he succeeded. Gurgel. A low voice came from the door. Yes. What's the matter? About the great demon fighting and martial arts. Gigel's eyes flashed and he explained. The prizes of this grand event, I think the president will be interested. 4. He briefly recounted what happened in the past few days. V%. Of course, this was not what he meant to say, but an order from a dream. X. Interesting. Ha ha ha, the magic of the abyss. Sean. A strange laughter came out, and then Joseph's figure, accompanied by his footsteps, slowly walked out of the secret room. His appearance has changed a lot, especially his face, half of which is covered with black dragon scales. President, have you succeeded? Gurgel asked. Dragon's blood is really magical. It contains a huge amount of energy. It took me a long time to suppress the effect. Joseph grinned and said, Gurgel, go and inform all the members of the guild, and prepare to leave for the royal capital to participate in the great demon fight. Not long after, the guild ghost's ruler, the entire huge building, suddenly shook. The guild turned into a magic giant, striding across the mountains, heading towards the capital. In front of the platform on the third floor of the guild, Gigel looked ahead, and behind him, there was a call. Brother Gurgel. Roger. A deep mountain and old forest, in a hidden cave. Ah. Mild screams of pain continued to come out, and after 4 or 5 minutes, they gradually disappeared. Deep in the cave, Irene was sweating profusely, but her expression was full of excitement. It worked, my sense of taste returned, and I was human again. She couldn't help but exclaimed. As expected of the mysterious guild, the things I take out at random can cure my stubborn ailments for many years. Thinking of this, she sat up straight and murmured, Dragon blood, that is not ordinary dragon blood. 400 years ago, I have seen many dragon blood, and the dragon has killed more than one, but never I have seen so much energy in the blood. Quote. Shaking her head, she sat down with her knees crossed and adjusted her breath for a moment. When the state returned to its peak, she opened her eyes. The big magic fight will start soon. If you win the championship, you will be able to get the magic of the abyss. Maybe, I can go a step further and see the abyss of magic. Moreover, the dream also sent me an invitation. The other party was very sincere, and whether she joined or not, he first cured her stubborn illness. That being the case, Irene became more curious about the dream. It seems that I have to submit a nomination certificate. With a chuckle, Irene showed a sincere smile that she hadn't seen in a long time. She whispered softly and slowly closed her eyes. At the same time, the Western continent, which is thousands of kilometers away, is the Alvarez Empire. In a certain hall, the eyes of the magic doll flashed and suddenly started. Huh. In the room, an old man dressed in luxurious clothes who looked like an imperial minister suddenly froze. Irene. The sorcerer, the magic doll said, and Irene's voice came out. A man known as the Sorcerer King with long wavy hair, a bushy beard, a kind face, a black imperial cape, and a wand. Like Irene Bersarion, he is one of the twin walls of the empire, one of the 12 shields, the sorcerer, and Orgast. How's it going? I have already investigated, the god Serena is dead. Who did it? The great wizard of the abyss that appeared last time. No, it's not clear who it is, but it's related to a guild. Dream. You know that too. The name of the dream has spread to the Western continent, of course I know it. He. Irene's magic doll let out a low smile. There is something more interesting than this. Even you, no, all of the 12 shields will be interested, right? What? Has His Majesty Jeff found it? No, it's a grand event sweeping the entire magic world, a carnival of people, dragons, and demons. The big devil fights and performs martial arts. Karna Island, Temple. On the throne, Aizen sat quietly. His eyes were as calm as water, and scenes of the future flashed in his eyes. After a long time, this strange scene gradually faded away. I have interfered with the future and seen through the future. Aizen smiled and said to himself, the great demon fighting and martial arts will start soon. In this world, the last performance will begin. The stage is ready, only the last actors are in place. Chapter 0677 _ How can 8 holy 10 be enough? A mighty team slowly entered the territory of Fury Kingdom. There are hundreds of people in the team, each of them is a wizard, proficient in joint operations, and is the main military force of the council to maintain the order of the magic world. In this unit, there are 4 luxurious magic guide cars, and in each car, there are 2 holy 10 judges. I have already entered the Kingdom of Fury, and in a day or two, I will arrive at the capital. Inside the magic car at the forefront, Alfheim said softly, with a hint of worry in his eyes. Speaker de la Julos said, if there is a mastermind behind this big demon fighting, it should appear soon. Tilda. Are you so sure? Maybe it's just the whims of Fiore's royal family. Alfheim shook his head. To be honest, he was very willing to believe this, but with a rational judgment, it was almost impossible if there was no shadow of a major force behind it. That's abyss magic. De la Julos sighed. Also, you should have a skeptical candidate in your heart. Suddenly, his words stopped, and his eyes looked out of the car window. I saw in front of the troops, at the end of the official road, a group of dark crows flew in groups. Stop. A soft drink sounded, and the team stopped in a disciplined manner. Everyone looked ahead alertly, and saw crows dancing in the sky, slowly landing in front of the convoy. The crow is like black ink, rapidly merging and gradually turning into a figure. The man was wearing a black robe with red clouds and a forehead guard engraved with a dreamy emblem on his forehead. In his strange eyes, 3 Guyu slowly turned. Uchiha Itachi. Speaker Delajuros took the lead, jumped out of the magic car, and came to the front of the team. Dream people, why are you here? He said in a low voice, his hostility undisguised. Don't ask knowingly. Uchiha Itachi spoke calmly, his right hand Vivi lifted, and a black crow landed on his arm. Quack. The crow made 2 calls. It's really you. Alfheim also followed and came out, the so-called great demon fighting and martial arts, you are behind it. Attracting wizards from all over the continent, the purpose is to absorb other people's magic, like last time in Magno. Leah liked that. Why do you say that? Uchiha Itachi was expressionless. This time, the main purpose is really not the mysterious rune, it can only be said to be incidental. The two saints did not intend to argue with him, and it was enough to determine that the forces behind the great demon fighting in martial arts were dreams. Next, it must be announced to the world, and all guilds must be strictly ordered to participate in order to prevent the further success of the dream. The two looked at each other and immediately made a decision. I didn't perceive the existence of the others, that is to say, there was only one Uchiha Itachi, so a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you want to do it? As if seeing the meaning of the two, Uchiha Itachi raised his eyebrows and said, it's not that I look down on you, but if you want to deal with me, how can only 8 holy 10 be enough? Enough is not up to you. Alfheim snorted coldly, his magic power was released, his body suddenly swelled, and in the blink of an eye he turned into a huge humanoid beast. The moment he completed his transformation, he suddenly punched out. In the face of this blow, Uchiha Itachi's eyes narrowed, and in an instant, the pupil power of Eternal Kaleidoscope increased sharply. Susanoo. Boom boom boom. Chakra surged frantically, and quickly condensed a martial god. The next moment, Susanoo punched him. Boom. The punches collided, causing a big shock immediately. Susanoo Amaterasu. Puff. Suddenly, a ray of black fire was born, and Amaterasu, which was launched by Susanoo, was extremely huge. In an instant, it enveloped the entire team, forming a circle of black flame walls, trapping everyone. Do you want to block our back road first? You are really overconfident. Speaker de la Julos seemed very calm and full of style. I know you, your magic is indirect blood-sucking magic, which is more troublesome. Uchiha Itachi glanced at him, and Tongli passed it on in an instant. You do. The pupil power of the Eternal Kaleidoscope is several times that of the kaleidoscope, and the effect of the same move is also increased several times. In an instant, the spirit of the speaker was pulled into the world of Yuayu. The blood moon hung high in the sky, he was tied to a cross, and he was tortured for 3 months without any resistance. Beheading, car splitting, skinning, lingering, hanging, burning at the stake. Dozens and hundreds of tortures were added, and the speaker collapsed and lost himself. In an instant, in the real space, his body thumped and fell straight down. Fixa. Uchiha Itachi had blood and tears in his left eye, and his face was serious. It lasted longer than I imagined, and it is worthy of being the second in the ranking of the 4 heavenly kings. Hyborian. Alfheim was shocked, and the strongest player on this side lost his combat power in an instant. Suddenly, another 6 figures rushed out and surrounded Uchiha Itachi. Jura said loudly, "Don't be careless, don't look at him, his ability is illusion, which directly kills the spirit. Don't look at each other." Uchiha Itachi slowly pointed his finger at Jura. What gave you the illusion that you need to look at me to activate the illusion? Under this finger, Jura was shocked to find that the world changed, and he fell into a battlefield where monsters were rampant, surrounded by a sea of corpses, a battlefield of undead, thousands, hundreds of thousands of skeleton army, slowly rushed towards him. In reality, Jura fell into a sluggish state, motionless, with a look of horror on his face. I fell into illusion again. The God Knight was shocked. What a powerful method. However, everyone, this guy doesn't seem to be able to deal with multiple targets at the same time, let's do it together. As soon as the voice fell, everyone started to attack, including the hundreds of magicians accompanying them. These wizards cooperate closely, and magic complements each other's shortcomings. Together, it is more troublesome than the sum of several saints. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Itachi Vivi smiled a little. Even me, facing so many people, has a headache. He quickly formed a seal and slapped the ground with his palm. Water escape, great waterfall technique. Boom boom boom. The earth set off a huge wave out of thin air, pushing Uchiha Itachi, pushing him to the sky. At the same time, hundreds of millions of tons of water, like the palm of the sea god, slapped the magic troop in front. However, if the number of people is useful, why do you still practice magic? Stepping on the waves, Uchiha Itachi jumped up and flew above the sky. He faced the battlefield below and projected his huge pupil power in one breath. Eternal Amaterasu. A huge eye of the sky unfolded in the sky. It was an eternal kaleidoscope. As far as the eye can see, all the earth is burning with black fire. At this moment, this space turned into purgatory. Chapter-661-680 I only count down. The third update. There was a mistake in the last one. Not 8 people, but 7 people. Makarov is gone, Gildas is quitting, Joseph is absorbing the blood of the dragon, so there are 7 holy tens. Close black lens bracket. Uchiha Itachi's eyes left blood and tears, and the ultimate pupil power poured out without reservation. The earth ignited a black flame, like a flaming mountain, burning all creatures on the earth to the ground. The team that was scattered by the waterfall, hundreds of magicians had not had time to withdraw from the current, and above the water, black flames from hell swept away. In an instant, more than a dozen people were covered by flames, and the whole person was swallowed up by the fire of Amaterasu and turned into burning people. This flame can't be extinguished. Stop, you bastard. Quickly attack the caster, otherwise, the entire army will be wiped out. A roar sounded. At this moment, Gerald's body was surrounded by magic, like starlight. Meteor. As soon as he stepped on his feet, the whole person bounced up, like a sharp arrow, rushing towards Uchiha Itachi in midair. Are you near me? Aren't you afraid of illusions? Uchiha Itachi spoke indifferently. Your black flame is also the ability of those eyes, right? Can you do it by using 2 pupil techniques at the same time? Gerald's face was cold and unmoved. Very correct judgment. Uchiha Itachi secretly said in his heart, even if it was him, under the Amaterasu that stretched the limit, Tsukiyomi would not be able to use it. However, he snorted softly, be smart. When his eyes were condensed, a trace of pupil power passed through in an instant, invading Gerald's brain. At this moment, Gerald's body froze, as if something exploded in his mind, and with a buzzing sound, he fell into a blank space. The next moment, a touch of black stained the whites of his eyes. Ah! Gerald screamed, but soon, these screams stopped. He gasped for breath, but his eyes looked extremely evil, so that's how it is, that's what happened. He turned his head suddenly, looked at the troops below, and immediately painted the magic circle with 2 fingers, and it was completed in an instant. Earth, water, fire, wind, purgatory broken. Boom. As if the bell rang, the moment the magic circle was formed, a dark wave rushed towards the council troops below. Boom boom boom. A series of explosions continued to appear, and many people were immediately obliterated. Zickline. Alfheim was furious. What are you doing? What to do? He. Itachi Uchiha couldn't help laughing. As early as 10 days and a half months ago, I waited for the dreamy yin and yang master, and applied the pupil technique to him. I just used my pupil power to ignite the fuse. Quote. Madara Uchiha's pupil technique on Gerald has been lurking, and will only erupt when needed. The main function is to guide the darkness in Gerard's heart and let him fall into the eternal abyss. Just as Arusha brainwashed Gerard when he was a child, Madara Uchiha just did something similar. At this moment, Gerald grinned, revealing an evil, cruel smile. Dream is the ruler of this world, the district council. His magic power maximized the power of Purgatory's shattering. Also, I'm not Chicrane, my real name is Gerard Fernandez. As soon as the voice fell, the purgatory that reached the limit of magic power shattered and suddenly erupted. Boom. Dark fluctuations swept across the 4 directions, and the space below was invaded by darkness, and a huge explosion occurred. With just one attack, hundreds of mages in the council were completely wiped out. Corpses abound. Even the Holy Ten was seriously injured under the double strangulation of the immortal Amaterasu and the broken Purgatory. Can't dodge Amaterasu, can't dodge this wide-range attack. With a puff, Alfheim vomited a mouthful of blood, and his whole body froze quickly, returning to the appearance of a little old man. The rest of the people were also injured. In just a short while, the comparison of combat power changed. Damn it, I didn't expect there to be traitors. The God Knight coughed again and again, surrounded by black flames, and he had no room to dodge. Uchiha Itachi fell lightly and calmly looked at the 4 remaining combat power. Alfheim, Valid Shinken, the Knight of the Gods, and the 10th Holy Ten. All 4 were injured to varying degrees and were no longer his opponents. It's a pity that you lost. He spoke softly and said, if you were more cautious and gather more troops, there may be a glimmer of hope. If I were you, I would not have come rashly. Cough, cough, cough. Alfheim kept coughing and looked tired. Don't be complacent, Dark Guild. The light won't go extinct. If I die, sooner or later someone will take over our burden and challenge you. Isn't it better to be able to talk and to have the ability to kill the Black Dragon? Uchiha Itachi's face was as usual, his eyes were like spring water, calm and terrifying. What is darkness, what is light? Doing good with others is light, wickedness is darkness. It's really superficial. When you see the abyss of magic, just you will know that at the end of the magic way, light or darkness is meaningless, only magic is eternal, and the essence of magic is darkness. Quote. In this regard, Alfheim was speechless. Although he is not a great wizard of the abyss, he has a little understanding of the level of the abyss. The essence of magic is indeed darkness, and magic is born from darkness, so he is powerless to refute it. However, he can't refute, and naturally someone can refute. It's not. A crisp voice sounded, and the photons gathered in midair, and Mebus suddenly appeared. It's just that, unlike little Lolita's figure, Mebus, who appeared in the sky, was comparable to a giant, with a body of over 100 meters. Illusion. Uchiha Itachi raised his head and saw at a glance, the expected reinforcements. Behind the gigantic Mebus, Makarov, who was covered in holy light, stepped forward. His raised right fist shone with dazzling brilliance. Fairy Tail's 3 major magics. The second super magic, Fairy's Light. The endless power of light radiates outward, which is as dazzling as a round of sun. Dream, even if it's you guys, it won't feel good, right? Makarov said solemnly, how about we each take a step back here? You leave here, and we won't interfere in your big magic fight. The light of the fairies. Uchiha Itachi raised his eyebrows. Mebus borrowed your power. Makarov himself would not do this. Radiance is a super magic that collects the brilliance of the sun, moon and stars and condenses it into one blow. It is super obliteration magic, which is very different from the laws of fairies. The main effect is not aimed at the spirit or will, but directly destroys the opponent from the body. This blow, even Uchiha Itachi, can't bear it if he eats it head-on. Of course, the premise is that you can hit him perfectly. No problem. Thinking of this, Uchiha Itachi Vivi Isho said, I didn't plan to kill you all in 3.6. We are peace-loving, and if we can't kill people, we won't kill them indiscriminately. These words fell in Makarov's ears, and his face suddenly turned black. The self-proclaimed darkest guild in history has the face to say that. People, you can take it with you. The big magic fight will also be held as usual. We welcome everyone to participate, including you. Remember to come. The prizes are abyss-level magic. Even if you gain knowledge, you can come. Take a look. Saying that, Uchiha Itachi turned around and left slowly. Of course, if you still want to stop the great demon fighting from performing martial arts, then it won't be me who will appear next time. After all, among the dream fighters, my combat power is only at the bottom, which is really not worth mentioning. This time I will go back. Maybe blamed by Lord Qin Emperor. Reciprocal. Mebus took a deep breath, and suddenly felt that the world had changed too fast in 100 years. This is a group of monsters running rampant. Chapter 0679-Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts, Opening 2. Time flies, and a few days later. The movements of the Magic Council are being watched by countless guilds. As the governing body of the magic world, the council chose to remain silent on the matter of great demon fighting and martial arts. Originally, their actions were known, and they thought there would be a result, but they did not expect that the aggressive council would soon disappear after entering the territory of Fury. After that, he was completely silent, neither supporting the great demon fighting, nor standing up against it, as if the Kingdom of Fury would hold such an event. Of course, this is the information of ordinary people. For some well-informed wizards' guilds, although they don't know the specific situation, they still understand what happened in general. The forces of the Magic Council, after entering Fury, seem to have met with the organizers and a fight broke out. In World War I, the Council suffered heavy losses, and then there was no more. Knowing this, many guild presidents immediately announced to sign up to participate in the great demon fighting and martial arts, and shouted with the organizers of Fio-09 Lai Kingdom. In this regard, Mira also received the instruction of Uchiha Itachi, and officially issued an invitation letter to the Mage Guild of the whole continent. The invitation letter was transmitted over a long distance with magic crystals, and within a week, it was sent to the president of each guild. At this point, the great demon fighting and martial arts are officially on the right track. More and more sorcerer guilds have decided to come to participate in private, and lead the elite mages within the guild to travel thousands of miles to the Kingdom of Fury. The Kingdom of Fury, the capital, a certain room in the palace. Mila poured a cup of tea and said softly, "Mr. Itachi, now we have clearly replied to our guild, which has reached 62. It is expected that it will exceed 100 in the next few days. There are only more than 500 formal guilds in the entire continent. Of course, it is impossible for all guilds to come to participate, but it can be expected that in the future, at least 2 or even 300 guilds will arrive." Well done. Uchiha Itachi picked up the teacup and took a leisurely sip. Thanks to your excellent image and frequent magazines, everyone's senses are generally very good. So there will be such a good response. This, Mira smiled bitterly. Mr. Itachi, the venue will be built in half a month. Before that, can you tell me what the purpose of this magic event is? It's to absorb magic. Dreams can absorb other people's magic, which, of course, Mira knows. The absorbed magic will cause some damage to the original owner, but as long as he cultivates for a few days, it will be fine. You'll know. Uchiha Itachi did not explain in detail, not because he didn't want to tell the other party, but because it was too troublesome to explain. Hearing that, Mira was speechless. She wondered if it would be better to ask the great demon Lord of Terror. Uchiha Itachi, a cold guy, usually speaks only a handful of times. It's worth noting that this time the great demon fight is divided into guild competitions and individual competitions. Suddenly, Uchiha Itachi took out the magic crystal. The magic crystal is azure blue, the size of a fist, and is embedded in a magic instrument, which looks a bit like a globe. This is, Mira asked suspiciously. Magic detection instrument. It can quantify the magic level of a wizard. For general mages, the maximum magic power of an attack is about 100 to 300. S-rank mages, above 1000. Holy 10, can hit more than 5000 magic attacks. When a great wizard like Makarov uses super magic, such as the super magic, Bright of the Fairy, the value can even exceed 10,000 in one attack. The upper limit of general instruments is 9,999, but this one, which I specially ordered the king to prepare, can reach 99,999, which is enough for the inspection of the great demon fighting martial arts. Saying that, Uchiha Itachi handed the instrument in his hand to Mira. At that time, you will be in charge of hosting the competition. Yes. Mira nodded and asked curiously, The maximum can only reach 99,999 watt as the power of an attack for the Abyss-level Great Wizard. The dreamy elemental life has reached the Abyss level. She is very curious about how strong the Abyss is when it is digitized. Abyss. Uchiha Itachi thought about it and gave a rough estimate, more than 100,000. If it is our elemental master, the strongest blow can probably break through 100,000. Abyss and Saint 10, the gap is very big. Quote, there is a gap of more than 10 times in the strength of magic power alone, and in terms of attack power, the gap is even greater. However, he really doesn't know how much it is. After all, he has never tried it. Don't worry, this instrument is enough to handle it. At that time, there will be not many people who can hit 5 figures, let alone 6 figures. Unless the giant dragon is alive, or the black dragon shoots, or Jeff appears, it is basically impossible to hit 6 figures. Hearing this, Mira nodded, and then asked the rest of the precautions and the specific arrangements of the competition. Time flies. The competition venue on the outskirts of the capital, after working overtime to build it, was finally completed before January. During this time, more than 200 mages guilds had gathered in the capital, and all the hotels were full. More mages had no choice but to set up temporary tents outside the capital. According to the kingdom's registration, there are more than 10,000 wizards who have signed up for the individual competition. Finally, one night, a colorful phoenix flew from the sky. The phoenix swept across the earth and sprinkled the rainbow light. Wherever it passed, the rainbow light spread and bathed in the rainbow light. Everyone could feel happiness and peace. Throughout the night in the capital, the sky became bizarre. The phoenix flew 3 times around the capital, and finally reflected a row of text above the night sky. 727 feet S First All Magic World's Big Magic Fight will officially start at 12 o'clock in the night. All wizards who sign up for the individual competition must arrive at the competition venue within a limited time for the first round of competition. Countdown. 4 hours 59 minutes 59 seconds. Above the sky, the reflected words covered the night sky of the royal capital. Anyone can see this scene. Of course, more people care about the people who engrave the words than these words. No, to be precise, it's not a person, It turned out to be the legendary phoenix. I know that in ancient times there was a race dedicated to worshipping phoenixes, but I didn't expect it to exist. Why did the phoenix appear? And it's still an announcement of the great demon fighting martial arts. Countless people were amazed. For the first time in their lives, they saw a legendary creature, which was even rarer than a giant dragon. The giant dragon, at least 1 or 2 of them can be seen in the historical records, the black dragon iconologia, and even occasionally appeared in a certain era. But the phoenix, since ancient times, has never appeared. Just taking a look at the legendary phoenix is a worthwhile trip. It is indeed a grand event in the magic world. The great devil fights and performs martial arts. The Kingdom of Fury dares to hold such a grand event. It is indeed a bit capable. Is it the time to be emotional? The countdown has begun. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the wizards in the entire capital all started to act. The great demon fighting martial arts is officially open. Chapter 0680 individual competition starts. In the capital at night, a countdown is displayed in the sky. All the wizards who signed up for the individual competition took action after being notified and set off for the competition venue. I deliberately chose to start at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. Is there any need? In a hotel, Wendy whispered, Sister Urza. I'm weird too. Urza packed up her armor and put it on solemnly. However, since the other party does this, there must be some reason. Wendy, when you're ready, let's go. Yes. Immediately, the two left the hotel and headed out of the capital city. Now, the Fairy Tale Guild has been disbanded, and all the members have dispersed and practiced hard, waiting for the return of President Makarov to reorganize the guild. This time, the great demon fighting martial arts was a good practical test. Urza had no idea of winning the championship. One of the reasons she came to participate was to cultivate, and the second purpose was for Mira. After Mira suddenly disappeared, she appeared in the capital, and her magic power was restored. Something must have happened to her. At the same time, on the outskirts of the capital, Natsu was sleeping on top of a boulder, and suddenly, his body rolled over and rolled down. Awake. Gildas looked up at the sky, paying attention to the phoenix flying around the capital. It hurts. Natsu rubbed his head, and then saw the mutation in the sky. Phoenix, phoenix. Gildas, it's a phoenix, so powerful. When you wake up, let's go. Gildas smiled and said, the great demon fighting and martial arts, the wizards from all over the continent will participate. There are many masters, go to stand out from them, defeat the strong enemy, you will become stronger. This is also a part of spiritual practice. Quote, I'm on fire. Natsu said excitedly. However, Gildas was puzzled, and secretly said in his heart, why does it start at 12 o'clock in the night? There are many people with such doubts, but since the organizers have decided so, no matter how tired they are, they have to cheer up and go to the competition venue. After all, this is the first session. If it is held well, it will definitely continue in the future, and the first session, if you can leave a place here, will definitely be famous in the mainland. The capital, the top of the palace. With the cool breeze at night, Itachi Uchiha stood on a high place, overlooking the whole of the capital. Each house is brightly lit, and you can see that countless people are rushing out of the city. Those who are impatient, even use magic to rush on their way, for fear of being a step behind others. Why did you choose to start at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night? Behind her, Lucy couldn't help asking. You absorbed the power of the remnant dragon soul in the dragon graveyard, how do you feel now? Uchiha Itachi asked rhetorically. The magic power has increased several times, and it is much stronger than before. Lucy said a little subtly that she would rely on fantasy to become stronger, and the other party really did it. In fact, her current magic power is definitely not weak, although it is not as good as Mira, but the gap is not very big, at least it exceeds that of ordinary S-rank mages. You only have a whole body of magic power now. Any S-rank wizard can beat you. Go, you can also go to the great demon fight and perform martial arts. If you are lucky, you might even be able to rank up, although this kind of the odds are less than 1 in 10,000. Quote. Hearing this, Lucy pouted. Although it was the truth, it was completely unpleasant. Since you said that, then I'll go get you a name and show it to you. She walked away angrily, but she was overjoyed in her heart. This guy let her go, and he could finally escape. By the way, he had to take Miss Mira with him. In a cheerful mood, Lucy went to the playing field alone. And when he left, a wisp of black smoke floated out beside Uchiha Itachi, and quickly turned into a shadow demon. As soon as it appeared, the shadow demon waved and rolled up a thick black mist. Then, in the black mist, a mysterious door appeared. Eclipse Gate. What is this, Mr. Itachi? At this time, Mira came over. She was wearing a long black dress, and the cool breeze of the night was blowing her white silk flying. Looking at the Eclipse Gate, Mira looked curiously. This door conveys a mysterious and ancient aura, but Mira's level of knowledge is unrecognizable. This is a magic that reverses time and space, called the Eclipse Gate. Shadow Demon glanced at her and said, it is used for time travel. The purpose of the great demon fighting and martial arts is for it. This door is not yet fully charged, and it needs to absorb a lot of magic power, so there is a big magic fight. It was so. Mira was stunned, and then asked curiously, walking through time and space, can this really be done? What exactly do you want to do? After the gate of opening, you will know. The shadow demon chuckled. So, even if your sister dies in another world, you can use it to change history when your sister is still alive. Quote. Change history. Mila's inner Vivi was shocked. This temptation was too powerful. Although Dream told her that her sister was still alive, she was always worried. If she had this door, even if her sister was really dead, she could go back to her past. Mira got a little excited. That's great. Now is not the time to be happy. Without enough magic power, the Eclipse Gate cannot be opened. So, now it's time for you to preside over the opening ceremony of the Great Demon Fight. Okay. Hearing this, Mila took a deep breath and calmed down. Although she had been doing it before, she was always a little confused in her heart. Now, she has firmed up. Even for her sister, she must let the great demon fighting and martial arts continue well. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was already 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. On the outskirts of the capital, a large-scale competition venue opened up a mysterious corner. On the open space in front of the stadium, tens of thousands of people gathered together. These people were all wizards who participated in the individual competition. Because there is no restriction on choosing one of the individual competitions and the guild competitions, most of the mages who consider themselves to be somewhat capable chose to sign up. At this moment, above the sky, the last second of the countdown was also reduced to 0. Time is over, someone muttered, looking up. Look, the phoenix is flying down. Someone shouted excitedly. I saw the colorful phoenix hovering in the sky, suddenly began to drop in height, and fell rapidly towards this side. Dragging the colorful tail smoke all the way, Hwang descended to the center of the big stage. The next moment, several spotlights came down, illuminating the stage. I saw a woman wearing a black gift walking slowly to the front of the stage. Miss Mira. In an instant, countless people cheered, especially the mages of Fury Kingdom, who cheered the most. Everyone, good evening. With a sunny smile on her face, Mira was delighted. Welcome to the first great demon fight. I am the ambassador for this time, Mirajan Strauss, and the host of the individual competition. Quote. Mira, Mira, Mira. There was a burst of cheers, and I don't know where the fans came from. Mila kept smiling, rather embarrassed. She looked at the tens of thousands of contestants below the stage. The limited time has ended, and those who fail to arrive will be disqualified from the competition. Mira took a deep breath and said, Now, I announce that the first great demon fighting martial arts will officially open. The first stage is the individual competition, the first stage, the competition for the star medal.